So, Beast the Primordial is the game that almost fucking killed me. I'm Adam and I survived multiple infections, which is why there hasn't been Dice Scum episodes for the past 2.5 weeks.
I'm Techpriest, and I'm our World of Darkness expert, which is why I'm here. And I feel really, really bad for Adam. He's been just shit.
I'll do. And I'm Greg. I am one of the resident weirdos who likes this and is just dying to dive in to this disgusting degeneracy.
Nice alliteration there. And I'm Randall. And yeah, apologies for the delay. Adam, again, was nearly dead due to reading this book.
Well, the book gave me both the flu and streptococcus and fucking pink eye.
And space AIDS.
No, that was Wraithith, though. Honestly, I think that's why I caught 2 infections. I got one from each book.
Yeah, but
I'm going to blame Beast for the strep because that's the shit that gave me an ear infection.
Yeah, but this is kind of a break from our regular scheduled broadcast. Blah. You know what I mean. Where we're going to do something a little spooky-oopy this week. And that is Pedophile the Molestine.
Sexual predator, the rationalization.
Serial abuser, the I'm totally a real honest person and not a guys.
Rapist, the mace.
I was actually gonna say rapist the apologia, but that works too.
Rapist the apologist. I think I just killed Adam.
No, I'm still completely operational, unlike the person who knocked out this cover in the span of maybe 2 hours.
Oh.
I think Greg coined the term Swolder Man for that main character there.
You mean the thing that looks like it crawled out of the directed DVD bootleg of The Descent?
Descent 2, Descent Harder.
So, I just want to note something. Of the writers on this group, several of them are actually pretty good. You've got Dave, you got Rose, you got Hill, who pretty good stuff. But the man that you want to focus on, and if you can highlight his name there, is Matthew McFarland.
Yeah, there he is.
Matthew McFarland was very recently fired from Onyx Path, like within the last year, as basically it came out that he was a serial abuser. He abused multiple women, some of whom were very young, like in their teens, in relationships, and kept doing it. He basically admitted to it and did an apology, non-apology in his leaving statement and has not been heard from since. There's a very good reason he has not been heard from since. Nobody wants to hire him. This book is part of the reason why.
There's a belief that if something is very powerful in your mind, that will come off in every that leaves a bias that is visible in every sense of the word, or in everything you do. This is proof of that theory.
It's also the proof of lazy cover design, because aside from Swolderman, you have pooping gargoyle woman.
I noticed they drew specifically to show the bounce. Good, yeah, real good there, guys.
You have crouching spider woman, and you have
I think that's John Romero as a spider swarm.
And
some guy
power posing on a bridge.
That's actually a small child and one of Matthew McFarland's victims.
Is about to jump off, of course.
I think that's a pier, not a bridge.
I think it's like the pier from Alan Wake.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And I also like the random teeth that are just there as a
Yep.
layer, like very
Uh,
obviously a second layer.
The thing with the teeth is that every World of Darkness game has these things that run along the bottom of whatever the page is, especially for the newer edition. Beast, it was cogs, not with Beast, with Demon, it was cogs with like it's for whatever reason teeth.
Shit, I wish
Now,
I was reading Demon to the Descent.
Demon is really good. Matthew McFarland was one of the concept writers on Demon. I
Oh,
will give him that. He was one of the
fuck.
concept writers. Yeah.
The only good thing that he ever did.
Well, the only the only non-defense of his horrible behavior that he's ever written.
But the second that he was given free reign to do Beast, he released Heirs to Hell, which is kind of just a book that is really dumb. It has no usefulness whatsoever for anything. It's basically not even. It takes the entire idea behind Beast, kind of throws it.
Wasn't the idea of Beast just
Not
like
Beast, Demon.
Otherkin?
It throws Demon kind of under the bus. It exists. Don't read it. It's not very good.
I have no clue if we'll get to it. That's one way I mentioned here. Wasn't one of the things that was established from that demons are one of the only creatures that don't like the incident things we're going to be talking about here, and that's how they kind of frame them. It's like, oh, that's so bad.
Yeah, demons in World of Darkness are very different. Well, at least in Chronicles of Darkness are very different than when you consider a classical demon. They're more like Agent Smith from the Matrix.
The best way
Foe.
to describe them is that what they did was they took the original demon in the old World of Darkness were classical demons. In the new
Some
World of
fun ones.
Darkness, Agent Smith is a good analogy, but they are rogue elements of this essentially god machine. Literally a machine that is of massive power. And imagine them kind of more like servitors from Warhammer 40k in looks. And
I'd
you're
say
pretty spot
iRobot.
on.
I'd actually say iRobot on that one.
Well, I mean, demons are like a mix of flesh and metal.
Yeah.
That's why I went with servitor. Like, we're talking cyborgs.
Yeah. I mean, some are building of all things too. Like, demons can be basically about anything.
So wait, you could have a demonic quickie mart.
Yes.
Literally, you can
No.
have the conspiracy of the god machine just being around quickie marts where they're the nexus point of the plan. What's the plan? No one knows, not even the god machine.
It's like that. But off of actually good books, yeah, he was a developer on Demon. And Demon turned out pretty well, primarily I think because of Rose tempering him very heavily.
So kudos to Rose Bailey there.
Yeah. He flew solo on Beast. Scroll down to the credits. Flew solo there. And it really does show.
Developer. Wait, is that like his wife that was the editor?
I don't know.
This guy was married.
I don't know. But
No. Matthew, Michelle, that's just an alias he was using.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Wait, this was backed on Kickstarter?
Yes. Here's a little bit of the modern White Wolf is technically divorced from Onyx Path. Onyx Path is who took up the torch for publishing New World of Darkness material after the death of Old White Wolf. New White Wolf has been bought by Paradox, but Paradox decided to leave Onyx Path publishing, despite the fact that they technically own Onyx Path. They decided to leave it completely alone, and it no longer has anything to do with Paradox. So they fund all their stuff through Kickstarter projects, through basically book sales, what they get already, and through word of mouth almost. They do a lot of digital releases now. They've swapped pretty much primarily over to digital releases. You don't see very many Onyx Path books physical form anymore.
Wow, this is more convoluted than the fact that, well, White Wolf helped Capcom produce a game called Darkstalkers.
Really?
That's the game with the Little Red Riding Hood with the guns, right?
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
did you know that at one point White Wolf worked with like Capcom on a game, and one of the characters I think from I think it was Darkstalkers, was this Red Riding Hood motherfucker who is literally a mage. Like her backstory is literally as a mage. The trauma of I think her parents being killed by a wolf
Uh,
caused her
Yeah,
to manifest
I
powers.
actually remember. I can say that is a character in Darkstalkers. I don't know about any of that because I only remember that because recently I looked back on that terrible Darkstalkers cartoon.
Oh yeah, that fucking exists too.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's like it legitimately makes Street Fighter seem like a masterpiece. Like Street Fighter was memeable, but that thing. Darkstalkers is such a piece of shit. It's not even memeable.
It
It's
gets
just bad. The only thing memeable about it is the fact how they try is just the fact that it's a Japanese fighting game with cat girls.
The only memeable thing about Darkstalkers is the boobs and furry bait.
but
Because
we're
the only
getting
things
off
that
track
crawled out
here.
of it were boobs and then a buff werewolf guy.
So we need to get back on track here. So
yeah.
I kind of don't
the
want
other
to,
thing,
but
the other thing to remember is that Beast, when it was released on Kickstarter, had quite a few issues, and the feedback from those issues is what resulted in the book we have here. There were a lot of fluff changes in between the Kickstarter's initial release, the initial Kickstarter copy, and the full copy.
yeah, wasn't the
This thing-
Kickstarter copy, didn't it basically make beasts as otherkin?
No, sort of. Changeling the Lost not Changeling the Lost. Changeling the Dreaming was very similar in that regard, but the changes that they made for Beast, the things people were complaining about, other people were totally down with. It was a very decisive Kickstarter copy release. So when they released the final, they edited some stuff and they removed a bunch of these other references. But a lot of the stuff that they removed is still in the book, essentially,
Whoops.
under different ways.
Yeah, wasn't most of the editing like in the first fucking third of the book, and then they just said screw it?
Yeah, so there's stuff in this book that just doesn't reference to each other right. Editing in this book was an absolute
Well,
Oh.
there's like one editor, and it might have been Matthew McFarland under nom de plume.
Yeah. And essentially when Demon made everybody very, very, very happy about the whole direction that New World of Darkness, now retitled Chronicles of Darkness, going. It looked like the entire thing was in very good hands. We had rumors of a second edition vampire book coming out, which was also pretty good. Mechanically speaking, it's very, very solid.
Mechanically speaking, though.
Fluff-wise, it's got all the material from the edition to work with, too. It's
Fluff-wise, I could actually do an episode just on the fluff.
Yeah, the fluff in the core for Vampire Second Edition, not the greatest. They kind of misstepped a little bit with that, but a lot of the other stuff has been pretty excellent out of that. Mage Second Edition, very good. Werewolf the Forsaken Second Edition, very good. But then we had Beast, and Beast is their new thing that they did. Demon, because Demon you could say was a throwback, but not really.
Demon is one of those reboots that is completely different from the original. Kind of like how John Carpenter's The Thing is technically a reboot from the 50s thing. Technically.
Yeah, or the most recent Prey game is a reboot of the what was it?
Don't they call those
2006?
reimaginings? Don't they just call those reimaginings?
Technically, the original 3D Wolfenstein game is a very different imagining from the 1981 game Escape from Castle Wolfenstein.
Yeah. Basically, though, it's quite different. There was a lot of issue, and Matt was very, very, very opinionated about a lot of the stuff that people were taking.
Sounds a lot like Imperator Rome, to be honest, given that.
No. Johan
no.
was kicked off, and everything has kind of been fixed.
Yeah, but that was after months. But it seems like Demon was not Demon. The Beast was the similar. Only
Beast
they didn't kick him off.
never got fixed. That's the thing. That's the main difference here. Beast never got fixed. We should just jump into the opening.
Oh, definitely. So, are we talking about the
Oh.
actual opening or the stories?
The stories you can skip. They're really
Intro?
So, skipping
The intro
Lineage
stories-
and skipping Tales of the Dark Mother?
Yeah.
Before that, I would like to just say one thing. It's about the picture that's right above the introduction. You know the one?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be honest. The thing I think of this, and I'm not sure this was intentional, but it gives me the impression that this is someone here who's about to commit suicide, and it says it's focusing on the horrible stories of terror before. So let that be the first introduction to this book: a monster telling people to commit suicide, getting people to jump off.
I actually kind of like the idea. It could be a great movie. Like, you see this kid, and then there's like this evil, horrible spirit that, yeah, fuck it, make it like the Wendigo, and it's telling him to do horrible things.
No, it's a gritty reimagining of the Iron Giant.
Oh,
Oh
Immortal
God.
Timmy, we must exterminate.
He's not
Yeah.
a gun. Instead, he just eats people.
But yeah, the main problem is that the first fiction is basically the hint of the first bit of Beast, where beasts were born, not made.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
the otherkin element that they
lineage,
very
yeah, they dropped
poorly
that pretty
dropped.
quickly, which I don't blame them for that, because it leads to some very bad implications of you were born this way and you're a horrible monster because of it. But it fits kind of better with the thematic elements.
I still think
But
it
then
would have
they
made more sense if like beasts were just spontaneously formed out of humanity's collective id.
kind of are now, but not, because fuck this game, essentially.
The origins are really bad, and we're gonna get into them. But instead, it's the
Let's
introduction.
just
Yes.
jump to the introduction. The first words are, "You don't suffer nightmares, you cause them." Matt McFarland, everybody.
Oh man.
This is basically him just
Rationalizing his disgusting brainwaves.
basically,
So who wants
you
to take
find
this
your
first
wisdom in
part?
fear. Many people draw strength and perspective from their dreams, but yours give you a purpose. In some ways, it's no surprise when you came face to face with a real monster. It might have been something you recognized from your dreams, or maybe not. Either way, suddenly it all made sense.
Oh, you skipped quite a bit.
Yeah, I did,
Oh.
because really, this doesn't deserve.
Doesn't deserve to. I do like that you were normal once.
Yeah. Of course, the human world doesn't understand what you're doing. It's not easy being the monster everyone was raised to hate and destroy. Oh.
You just keep in mind that the man who wrote this should be in prison,
Probably should be in prison.
Wait.
killed by
I just realized
general
the name.
population.
I just saw the thing like with Garth Ennis. Why does that name sound familiar?
Garth Ennis is also the guy that wrote.
Didn't he write Sandman?
Yeah, he was one of the writers for Sandman, I want to say. I think he also did
And the Preacher comics, which are
the Preacher comics, and I think Invincibles or the Invisibles or
he's
whatever that one was, the really weird
okay,
one.
so we can also label the crime of this book of making me mentally associate that those great books with this.
Yeah,
Great.
like
all hack frauds love to quote from famous people to make their garbage look better or their arguments look better than they really are.
But yes, so
I'm surprised he
basically,
didn't open up with an Einstein quote, to be honest.
the monsters, whoever they were, offered you a chance to become one of them and guide humanity to a hard-fought wisdom. You accepted. That night you were devoured. When you
Ew.
awoke the next morning, you were no longer human. But oh, the lessons you now have to teach. And
So
this is where the book goes completely retarded.
the
because-
lessons you have to teach by inflicting misery on others.
It gets we'll get to that, but basically here's the big thing about the original and the Kickstarter, and this is the biggest difference that starts with the first one. In the Kickstarter, beasts just kind of exist. They exist and they're narratively kind of driven into these pigeonholes, no fault of their own. Everybody involved is a victim, essentially.
Actually, kind of interesting.
which is very interesting, and it works much better.
It works better, but I can see why they went against that, because that's basically the ethos of Changeling, where
Yes.
you are a victim.
Yes, but in this case, it's more that yes, you're doing horrible things to people, and there
It's not
are
like you like it.
and you're making. It's not like you like it. It's not like you're intending to do it. It's very different in that way.
Again, I guess
Like-
that also could be Promethean in some ways, but yeah.
Yeah, but then again, remember that this game was also built as one of the first crossover valid games, like something that you could build a crossover campaign around.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
Just because that's what it was intended doesn't mean it actually worked.
Yeah, you'll see what they did for that later in the mechanics, but for right now, let's kind of cover this whole thing. So basically, as you're getting into the overview section, here's a couple of things to note. This is meant to be, beasts are meant to be sort of the soul is something that is a monster. These are normal people, they look normal, but they have monster souls.
So your average
Oh.
sociopath, rapist, and killer.
Well,
Matthew
not
McFarlane?
necessarily. Matthew, yeah, they're all Matthew McFarland. Let's be fucking clear. They're all Matthew McFarland. The author avatar here is very strong, and it infected everything.
I mean, for fuck's sake, just go back up to where they go, oh, the lessons you have to teach.
Yeah,
He just gave his rationalization for molesting all those women.
but right. Here's one other thing too. You slide in and out of supernatural societies as easily as you blend in with the human world. The other inhabitants of the night are your kin, and they all have their own lessons to teach.
What? No. No.
This is where the first kind of warning bells get laid in, where it's like, sure, you might consider yourself related to them, but you might not be accepted by them. But this is where the problems get in with mechanics. Again, we'll cover a lot of this later. But just to leave this in our listeners' mind. Number one, Beast was originally intended to be kind of a crossover game. Number two, the idea behind it was to allow for people to play the movie monsters that were left over from the ones that they'd already taken, because they'd already done vampires, they'd already done werewolves, they'd already done witches, they'd already done
Golems.
mummies,
They've
they'd already done
done
Frankenstein,
Cthulhu.
golems, and they've done kind of Cthulhuids, and they've done ghosts too. So that leaves only like really the Swamp Thing left over, and nobody really wants to play the Swamp Thing. Let's be
It's also
honest.
the one with the fisherman.
Like nobody wants to be a fishman.
No one wants to be a giant. No one wants to be the Hydra.
Yeah. And this is a game about, like, what if you have some weird person that, it'd be really cool to have a Hydra in modern times. And that's kind of a valid point. That'd be really, really cool. And that's kind of how the game was sold initially, where you're playing people that are either these monsters or channeling these monsters to do weird shit.
I guess it does kind of make sense why this was the last to come out, because well, think of it, like in most games that have sort of monsters and stuff like that, a lot of it is it's always sort of based on the human perspective, because that's how we write. So it's we always start with that, and so it just kind of seems weird to branch off into the things that are just so diametrically opposed to humans. Like, okay, I can kind of understand a werewolf because they're kind of human, but the Hydra, I don't know how to play that.
Exactly. And the idea behind Beast was to allow players to kind of get that as like a concept of you were playing something completely divorced from human morals, also to a degree. So they have to create their own moral structure. But the problem with that is you handed that kind of task, which is a very tricky thing. Like there are very few fictional ideas of morality that ever kind of work out. Like one of the better examples of this, I'd say, is the Culture series, where you have the AIs and these other like alien species, where their ideas of what's right, what's wrong, and what isn't, what's acceptable and what isn't, is all fucking out the window.
Or
It doesn't matter.
There's the fan fiction called The Things, where it's the point of view of the thing from the other world.
Yeah, like
where the
stuff like that.
concept of
Where
unity of being and changing form is good, and it sees these humans as just walking tumors that are.
yes, and to some degree, this has been in every White Wolf game because you're playing things that aren't human. But Beast was kind of going to take it to a level in a way, because these are things that are clearly not human. You weren't born human. You didn't come out right.
You know, another way that actually Greg and I came up with a way that might have made more sense. I still think Beast might have worked better if, like, you know how they have like 5 different types of main classes that they always have for newer White Wolf,
Yeah,
where it's just based on certain aspects of humanity's baser desires. Like giants represent the desire to destroy, dragons
that's
represent the desire for greed, harpies and furies represent the desire for vengeance, that sort of thing.
they kind of
Well,
have that, and we can get to that.
Techpriest, can I talk, please?
Yes.
I was gonna say that I kind of had a similar idea where the beasts are based on different aspects of fear. I think that's actually in this, but
It is.
That's how they work
Okay,
in the
yeah.
book. In my case,
Alright.
the idea was instead of them being originally victims, and now in this case they're horrible abusers. The allegory I would have went is drug addiction, where they are compelled, literally by their base aspect of what formed them, to to fulfill said desire. Like a dragon is obsessed with obtaining wealth or just objects. Giants are obsessed with breaking things, and they have to try to channel it positively, or if not, just try to live with their life. And they're just kind of fated to eventually go out like their mythological brothers, unless they can find a way to break from that addiction, that need to actually compel their id.
Yeah,
And
that's compelling. That's interesting.
that was kind of what a lot of people thought the original idea behind Beast was going to be, especially with how they originally portrayed heroes and a lot of the pre-release stuff before the first edit.
And heroes are forced
get to
by
that.
this. Well, in Greg's take, he wrote this one. Heroes were forced by a higher power of some sort. Maybe the God Machine, no one really knows, to fulfill these quests, basically following the story. They don't necessarily even want to do that, but if they don't, the universe starts torturing them by having bad things happen to them.
That's
if they
kind
try
of
to
also
break off
what
script.
that's kind of also what the book had. But again, we'll get into heroes, we'll get into all this, but let's start with kind of the over. In Beast the Primordial, you play as one of the children, a human being whose soul has been replaced by one of the great monsters of legend. You became one of the children when another beast entered your dreams and devoured your soul. In the moment of living, your soul became the monster. Beasts are not born, but reborn, begotten in a moment of terror by one of the children of the Dark Mother. This is the life of the children, preying on humanity enough to feed the horror within, teaching people to listen to their nightmares and take wisdom from loss and fear, tending to their lairs as they guard with their territory, and moving freely between mortal society and supernatural cultures as legends in both.
Why the fuck would you ever want to let your soul get devoured by these things?
This is where I'm gonna start. This is where some of the warning bells kind of came on.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, somebody sneaking into your room at night and taking your soul kind of sounds like Matt got molested as a kid.
No, maybe. I mean, definitely molested somebody. But
Inflicting horrors on people to teach them lessons. Like, what type of dumb bullshit's
yes,
that?
this is where the book started falling apart, where they tried to create a society for things that are by their very nature unique.
No, they
and
should be mostly alone, like Prometheans, where
yes,
they
like Prometheans, they have an
never.
override.
Except when a game happens.
Well, I
Well,
mean, there are group. I forget the term for the group, like Throng or whatever.
Wrong, yeah.
But like, it's super rare for Throngs to form, and the same thing should be for beasts. You don't run into a menagerie of beasts that often.
You run into like maybe one or two, and they might have met each other and they just don't like each other because they're territorial. They should be, right?
Yeah, like I need to feed on these people's fear or I fucking die.
Yeah, and there's an aspect of this where they tried to kind of have their cake and eat it too, and they ended up just vomiting all over the cake.
Like, don't they just, like, if you refuse to fulfill it, your monster just crawls out of your brain to fucking traumatize
again.
people in their dreams?
Again, we'll get to this.
Let's get to it then.
All right, so overview, blah blah blah, primordial dream, discovering one's true family, blah blah blah. So basically, they kind of say that like everybody wins. What we're doing is good, right? What we're doing is great. We're teaching people lessons. We're
Filling the fucking bathroom of the guy afraid of spiders with spiders is winning.
well, you're teaching him that spiders are everywhere. That's what you're teaching. It's a valid lesson.
Wakes up fucking covered in spiders.
Like the beast is just off in the corner. Spiders are everywhere. Learn the lesson.
For
And just
fucking throws a tarantula.
Yeah, this is where it breaks down.
No,
when you
no,
start
no.
to
His
think about it.
beast form is a spider, so he turns into like the fucking spider from It.
That's the thing, though. Beasts don't actually do that, which is like,
Oh, that's so stupid.
I know.
Bullshit.
I know. This is
Oh,
where
that's
the game
fucking
breaks down.
pathetic.
So I
Yes,
also just
I
realized
know.
something. Maybe it's stupid that I just realized it, but is Beast literally Monster Under the Bed Simulator?
It's worse than that because the monster.
No,
under
that
the
would
bed
actually
is at
be
least-
fun.
Yeah, like that'd be
Yeah.
at least fun. Like like a game about a group of like boogeymen under the bed that come out and they terrify children, and your objective is to scare as many children as possible with like ludicrous stuff, like Monsters Incorporated. Like you could do that, and that'd be more fun than this. Like
Monsters,
This
the
is
frightening, and they're just
awful.
like fucking hiding under beds going ooga booga.
yeah, like that'd be more fun because you'd have more personality with that than just I'm an asshole, but everybody loves me, and that's kind of the entire game of. So-
Do you think I should spoil like the interactions with the other supernaturals because there's one
No,
that's really
we'll get-
disgusting.
We'll get to those.
Viewers,
Trust
there's one element that's really disgusting, and I can't wait to get to
There's
that.
several elements in their relationships with
There's
supernatural.
one in
that are
particular that
awful.
I fucking
There's one in
hate.
particular that is awful, though.
You know the
there's
one.
two really. There's two
One
really.
moment. Adam.
Yeah.
Just look at chat real quick.
Okay.
We have a new guest. Say hi, Catman.
This is Alabaster the Unicorn, and I've come back. And this is Spoopy. This is Spoopy Wing, and I've just been listening in. And oh shit, this is just bad. When I heard Monster Under the Bed, what I was hoping we could do is basically be like Howie Mandel in that Monster Under the Bed movie. That would have been. I would have played something like that. That'd be great.
Oh, that would
yeah.
like a Howie Mandel simulator where you play as him and you just scare children.
No,
That'd
the
be
thing is to
great.
play. The thing is though with him is just being a bunch of asshole pranks, but you don't get to see the fun pranks. All you get to see is the children getting verbally and physically abused afterward.
Or the Tim Curry simulator where you play as Pennywise just as the clown.
Yes.
Mild spoilers. Pennywise does show up in one of the Beast books.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
I'm not kidding you, and it's awful.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. So you've got your standard White Wolf stuff, right?
Here's some true or
Here's
falses.
the true or falses. Beasts aren't human. True.
More like
Beasts are
Matt McFarlane's not human.
Beasts are born human, experience primordial nightmares. Some point another beast finds them and transforms them, like an evangelicals think gays do to young children. However, some claim that they've never
I
been.
might have to censor some things.
Yeah, that's a terrible art.
And honestly, it's also disgusting.
And then some beasts claim that they've never been human, and that the devouring merely cleared away the detritus of their soul and replaced it with the pure form of the horror.
AKA,
So-
like the sociopath that makes other sociopaths go, dude, you're fucking evil.
Basically, a serial killer, essentially, because a lot of serial killers, when they kill, they kind of feel like, yeah, this is what I was for. Because that clicks in their brain the right way.
But
and
if I
it's
wanted to play that, I would just play a slasher.
exactly, like they don't even.
Literally nothing that this thing does. There's no reason to play them.
Yeah, that's the other biggest problem. So beasts are a literal bloodline. False. They're not genetic, but at the same time, they're kind of genetic because they kind of run in family. I think there's some stuff with
That's
that.
them doing the other kin shit. Because
Yeah,
Matt's lazy.
Beasts have legendary weaknesses. Partially true. Basically, they mention heroes for the first time. Heroes possess the disturbing power to nevertheless make these weaknesses real, at least for a time.
Disturbing.
Can a
beasts
person just
physically
randomly
transform.
choose to be a hero and just start, like, I don't
No.
know, throwing
this
Toblerones
was
at them?
this is what part of the problem with New Beast is that the originally Beasts and Heroes had a very interesting kind of codependent, abusive, non-abusive relationship. They were very codependent on each other and how it worked, like the narrative of the story and how they were both kind of trapped in it. But they changed all that, and it sucks. Okay, Beasts physically transform into monsters. Mostly false. This is why I'm saying they don't transform, because
So
it basically
stupid.
outstates it. They can use powers to gain certain advantages related to their true form of their soul.
If I want, like,
But
God
for the most
damn
part,
it, there's like, I'd rather just play a human at this point because there's no
Yeah.
fucking point.
Like,
yeah,
if I can't turn into a giant man in a bloody pink bunny suit with an axe, why am I fucking playing this game?
Like, if I can't just randomly have my face turn into wriggling eyeballs.
I want to turn into a Hydra and then just rip the shit out of people in the street. That'd be fucking
That would be
awesome,
great.
man.
Just
Yeah.
turn into the
Great question.
Nemean lion and just fucking laugh as bullets bounce off of you.
Serious
Yep.
question: Do you think it was intended for the player characters to dress up in fursuits?
I think at this point, yes.
Probably.
No, that's Changing Breeds, which is just going to be its own episode.
We're gonna have a whole special on changing breeds. I had to censor that book in several places for Adam.
Yeah,
It's not
because,
fun.
well, we'll get into that. Instead, we have Beast, which is not as fun.
Beast is not as fun because Beast is a little too serious about itself. Changing breeds just doesn't give a shit. And
Changing Breeds is just written by a wacko.
Changing-
Meanwhile, this is
Remember,
written by a
breaking-
person that should be locked up in prison and then
Yeah.
killed by the prisoners.
like here's the thing. This is offensive. Changing breeds is just funny because it's just so bad it's funny. This is so bad it's actually offensive.
By the way, do you like that Beast being inherently evil is false when that's the biggest
That's
fucking lie
that's
ever?
one of the biggest lies because they do incredibly evil things as they specify in this that
Like,
No,
I'll
they're
spoil an
awful.
example for you
Listen,
viewers
here.
that I love.
The truth is that a beast is only as evil as her actions.
Okay.
Okay, look, can I
They're
spoil one of the actions that's in this book because I love it because of how fucking evil it is?
Sure.
One of the beasts that will be given as an example for lessons was a taxi driver that left a fucking person that took their cab in the shittiest, most crime-ridden part of the city on purpose.
rich people specifically.
Rich people specifically.
Yeah.
To teach
they're
the
like, hey,
lesson
it's a
of
lesson. If they die, it's a lesson to everybody else. Hey, mug rich people. If they don't die, it's a lesson to them. Don't trust taxi drivers and don't go into the shitty part of town. Everybody wins. Like this is not a joke.
Like if a player character was doing that in I guess a Dungeons and Dragons game, I would say, what's your alignment? A chaotic good.
That's chaotic. That's like chaotic evil shit. Like,
I would instantly have a paladin order just look into the taxi cab killer.
all right. So moving on from that, basically beasts have to fight heroes. They're not solitary creatures and they're not immortal. But at the same time, they're kind of immortal because the horrors are immortal. But you know, whatever. It's dumb. It's really fucking dumb. Keep moving on.
I like how you have
The-
supernatural
The Dark
age.
Mother is the worst part of this because there have been references to the Dark Mother in other White Wolf books. You've got Lilith, for example. You
Yeah.
get the whole Circle of the Throne stuff with worshipping ancient mother figures and all that sort of paganistic stuff. You've got sort of a Dark Mother, you could say, in both Mage as an archetype, like one of the Exarchs is kind of fits that mold, and also so does a lot of the stuff in Mummy fits a Dark Mother aspect in terms of the Judges of the Duat. But this is where it gets explicit that nope, this is real. This is the thing, and then they created all of the monsters. Every monster is related to the Dark Mother. This is 100% fact, according to Beasts. The first of the beasts, but also the first of all monsters. Therefore, everything is related to beasts. Beasts are the They are the original.
So if you wanted to play a vampire, you're the latecomers. You were a beast at one
Yes.
point, but went rogue.
Yes.
Demons? No, they were originally beasts of
No,
some
demons
sort.
aren't actually children of the Dark Mother, according to Beasts, which is the best thing about Demon is that it has no connection to Beast whatsoever. That's the greatest thing about it.
That's great.
Isn't that why they're the only ones who don't have a natural trust of them?
Yes. Again, we'll get to that mechanically speaking, but it's bad.
Like I said,
So bad.
another big problem is like when I hear a game like Beast, I want to play a badass monster and go rip the shit out of people. And then maybe there's a counterbalance that if I use these powers, it costs humanity. Like especially around people, I can face explode like masquerade style breaches and things like that, where the beasts keep each other in line. If you start doing shit, kind of like vampire. If I do
Yeah,
shit,
Well, it's like like
They
you rip
kinda have
people's
that.
heads out and drink their blood, and then the universe will send a hero, forcibly force a person to become a hero to go after your ass.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is one of the problems with like how heroes are in the book, where originally I'm just gonna say it right up. But originally, heroes were made by the actions of beasts. They were made because beasts were being really fucking terrible to people, and or because they were also kind of stuck in the same loop that beasts were. They were also made to be heroic. They were the people that were born to be kind of heroic, and the narrative force of the universe is forcing them into conflict with beasts. They don't like it. They go crazy. They hate it. They feel an overwhelming urge for no reason to see some random person in the street and just fucking murder them. Like that's awful. That's just plain awful.
Now,
So heroes,
they're just the jocks that bullied Matt McFarlane.
yeah, like they changed them to no, they were born this way, and they're just
they're
like
all
beasts.
assholes.
They're like beasts in that they're supposed to help moderate the lessons of the beasts. Like they're supposed to be like, no, this is what the lesson actually is, and explain it. But instead, they're killing beasts, and that's bad because beasts are good no matter what they do.
Oh yeah, they originally made heroes
Wait, stop.
supposed to
I just
be
wait.
the elders that explain it. That's so stupid. I
Just
forgot.
also
Yeah.
something else that's also stupid. If
Sorry,
the beasts
guys.
are good and that there was never a reason, why was there a reason for there ever to be a moderators unless the beasts were at some point bad? So at some point that that was a need for the
The idea behind the original is that the original cut heroes are there because the universe or the narrative force or whatever the fuck it is says this is too much. We need something to deal with it. So that's why a hero comes in and kills the monster because that's how the narrative convention kind of works. And the idea also is that beasts create their own monster. They create heroes by what they do. They might not
It's
do
kind
it
of like how in
willingly,
comic
but to do it,
books, your superhero usually create villains on accident.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Except usually that's trying to save someone.
Yes.
Not here.
In this case, it's because I was an asshole. People want to kill me. And I might not be originally. And again, in the original cut, I'm an asshole because I'm a fucking monster. But I don't like being a monster. It's kind of awful. But to live, I do these horrible things, and that's kind of the vampire symptom too, where
Which is compelling. Being forced to do
Yeah.
awful because you have to.
I'd rather have something that was kind of similar than something that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Like if they're both forced into it, it becomes much more tragic, much more. It's much better speaking from like a perspective of a narrative, from a game, from really anything. It just works better that way. Instead, we got something completely different. Again, we'll kind of get to that, but basically, here's the stuff that they're talking about. So the horror is, and like it's not actually a flesh and blood monster, which is like why? Okay,
that defeats
It's
like
your
part of the
spirit
primordial
animal.
It kind of is. It's part of this thing called the primordial dream, and
it's your
heroes,
stand.
like
It kind of,
Fucker.
but much less,
Fucker, no.
much less good.
no. If you want to do stands, you play Geist. Let's not besmirch Geist here, okay?
Like I said, I want to play a fucking monster, man. I want to play. If I want to play Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Fucking Hyde, I want to be Mr. Fucking Hyde.
Thankfully, although I still am not a fan of the mechanics, you can kind of do that with Deviant.
Yeah.
Deviant did
looks
what
like it's
Beast
gonna be a fun
tried
game.
to do.
Yes. Deviant is basically everything that Beast set out to do. Deviant is like the giant apology book for Beast.
Literally, we're sorry.
We're sorry, guys. We're really sorry.
Deviant, the apology.
Will be. Oh God, does that mean in Deviant I can be Killer Croc or
Yes.
something like? That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's why Deviant's a good game.
Literally, you can
do
walk up as Killer Croc. I come in as Super Skrull.
You can have Killer Croc, Super Scroll, Solid Snake, and
Solomon
Alma for
Grundy.
fear. Solomon Grundy, you could have Alma from Fear in that group too, and it would be a totally valid Deviant group because I don't know, some weird corporation wants to capture all of them for a Suicide Squad. You know, like that's kind of the thing with Deviant. It kind of writes itself. It's just weird schlock, and that's what's fun about it. But right, so
But
anyway,
that's good. We're not at good. We're at devouring. We're at the
We're
vor
at the
part
de-
of the book.
yeah, so anybody can become a beast is kind of the way that they stress it, but of course not really because they say that from the start
You
you
have to
had
dream deep.
nightmares about this. You have to dream deep. So they're born but not. They're made but they're not, and they're born but they're not. So who gives a shit? Like it's contradicting itself in the introduction.
This is Matt McFarlane being the laziest cunt in the world and literally doing the bare minimum to edit out the otherkin aspects of this book.
It gets worse. So right, if you kind of scroll through, you can just kind of scroll through the whole thing about the devouring because it's really fucking dumb. But at the end, here's this thing that they say. The conclusion that beasts reach quickly, of course, is that they need to define their own stories. The beast isn't a villain, they're a lesson.
No. By the way, the entire purpose of lessons are fucking pointless.
It's
So,
awful.
well, the
Like
thing is,
the idea of that you're taking the role in a story, that works better. The idea then that, well, no, you're teaching lessons and that's your purpose. They never define what a good lesson is. They never ever state that.
So you could literally make a beast whose purpose is to fill closets full of spiders.
Yeah, and that's a valid lesson. What's the lesson that they're teaching, Adam?
That you should look before you leap, or in this case, open your closet, because some of the spiders are venomous.
I just thought of a great lesson. The beast disguises himself as a Jehovah's Witness, and then when you answer the door, he begins beating you to death with a book, and then leaves you there for dead.
my lesson is I want to get even more dark. My beast
No,
is
no, everyone, children. What's the lesson that's been taught here?
Don't open doors?
don't trust strangers.
Jehovah's Witnesses
no.
are evil.
Yes, exactly, and the Japanese were right to kill them all.
So
that was the
Here's
Nazi.
I have my lesson. My lesson is I disguise them as your own father, disguise as their own dad, then act very, and then take a cigar to burn them. What's the lesson, people?
Daddy issues make strippers hot? I don't know what.
That don't anger dad. Don't
Don't
anger
anger
dad. Don't
daddy.
anger daddy when he's watching the Jets. Damn it!
Oh, fuck.
Last but not least, just go
Oh.
to every restaurant in town and criminally undercook the chicken. The lesson: don't make sure you double check what you're about to fucking eat.
I got one.
Just going to Yelp and then putting everything as a 1-star review, no matter what. The lesson being, people are assholes. And don't
Yeah,
just do
like
that.
that's kind of the thing. Like we're gonna get into that as they come through more of this, but basically, so moving on, other aspects of the beast.
I
The-
have one.
Last
A
one.
demonically possessed car that stalks the street at night and runs over jaywalkers.
That's
The
not really a
lesson-
beast thing.
That would be a great deviant idea.
That's a great deviant
Like an
idea that you're
evil
like
kit.
yeah, like your evil kid. Like that's better for deviant. That's not a beast thing. That
No, there's a lesson. Don't jaywalk, or a demonic car will run you over.
Well, no, you'd have to be the driver, just intentionally running people over.
there's a beast that collects roadkill later in the book.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to some of the example stuff. But for right now, here's the stuff about like the other stuff about beasts. So first off, beasts we've already established they've got a horror, which is basically the monster soul. They've got the devouring is the act of creating another beast. So what's the thing about monsters? They all have lairs. Yay! It's a lair. A lair is basically a pocket of the primordial dream. What's the primordial dream? It's the thing that beasts kind of function with. It's the big thing, sort of like how like the spirit world is for werewolves, the
it's
supernal
the
realm.
thing that's not explained at all.
Sort of. It's
It's
explained as like the collective unconscious of all of it.
It's the bullshit woo-woo dimension.
Yeah,
It's that stupid Jungian superconsciousness.
yeah,
that'll-
it is. And this was better handled in both Mage and Changeling, but whatever.
The entire
So-
point of the lair and management of that is so fucking stupid.
So the lair is an expression of the beast's power and how closely they're tied to their horror. and how much like their personality reflects it. So, and then when beasts come together, their layers kind of merge together to create like a structure of layers. So this is why beasts should be in a group, because they become more powerful in a group for whatever reason.
So it's like build your own dungeon crawl.
Yeah, it kind of is.
It's like Dungeon Master, but shit.
Yes, it is.
Wait,
Like I can see what they were going for, and that it could be interesting, but
That's this entire book, is you can kind of see what the aim was.
Like
and then you
the
see what
layer
happens.
concept was why I went with the idea that beasts being the manifestations of ids that just kind of manifest physically.
Yeah, like this is why it gets really shit. Then all beasts have a primal drive called hunger, which they must sate the appetite of their horror. It can be a very simple, direct thing, such as a drive to stalk and kill prey, or it can be more abstract, such as a need to punish others for their transgressions. Hippity hoppity, get off my property is a valid beast concept.
Throwing shoes at small preschool children is a valid way to satiate your hunger.
Yes. This is why it's really dumb. So however it's interpreted, hunger must always feed the horror's appetite. To put it one way, as older beasts sometimes tell young ones, if someone eats, something else gets eaten.
So you can satiate your beast's hunger by just doing the dreaded triple shoe beating on a fucking child.
Just become the ultimate Latino mother and just beat someone with a flip flop.
I'm sorry, it's just the entire mechanics of beasts is so laughable. I remember reading it once when I wasn't like a couple years ago, and my reaction was, "What is this bullshit?"
So I love the secondary quote, which, well, the thing that goes in is a beast can console himself by thinking that they only hurt bad people, but they know for a fact that they would do this to anyone.
Yeah, like again, that's something that seems like it was from the first edition of the book. Like the beasts try to regulate themselves, but in reality, they all know, no, we're monsters. We're monsters, and we want to live, so we do this. Sort of like how vampires do it. Eventually, the more monsters vampires become, the less they try to justify it. But you could say the same thing about beasts. You know, like, but that's the problem with beast, where it's you're supposed to become the monster, where it's not like with the original cut. I'm pretty sure the idea was, yes, you're supposed to become the monster, and it's going to get easier and easier to do this, but at the cost of like
your freedom.
You know, your freedom, because you get tied more and more into the narrative structure. But that isn't in this game anymore because the Primordial Dream was fucking rewritten.
Yeah.
Very lazily, as minimally as possible.
Yeah. And
like to give you an idea, the negative response. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that like a lot of the rewrites, you can tell Matt McFarlane really fucking hated that people demanded that this book get rewritten.
He really hated that people thought that heroes were at all, somebody that you could defend.
That's the thing I actually wanted to get to, because that's next.
That's next. Here we go. Heroes.
Oh boy.
Where monsters hunt, heroes follow. As a beast grows in power, but actually, let's end this bit, because this is a good point about this. A nightmare is only useful if a dreamer awakens, and wisdom is only useful if someone survives to use it. The horror doesn't understand this, or doesn't care. It is just is happy if the beast kills to feed it. Beasts who simply indulge in their horror's whims, though, tend to come to a bad end. Some face the judgment of their kin, while others attract heroes. Now, this is why things are terrible, because there's no real regulation in beasts. They don't really have a society. It's not even a case of like, well, with sin eaters they don't have a society because they're so fucking rare. Same thing with like Prometheans, where they kind of know because you're all Pinocchio. You kind of have a same overriding goal to go for.
And there's been enough writing, like in Prometheans, they actually establish, well, rare. They've met enough times that there's a basic understanding of what you do. Like they have their own pictoglyphs. What was it? Pictoglyph system.
Like hobo symbols, basically.
They have hobo symbols. They have a routine called getting your measure.
Yeah.
In the very rare cases, you run into a fellow Promethean. And like there's some very basic etiquette that they figure out, even though it is rare as shit when they meet together. But it sometimes happens.
They have sort of this thing that's really, because a lot of Prometheans are made by other Prometheans. Great. So, they kind of teach them the basic of, here's how you don't get yourself ripped apart by the next one of us we meet.
And here are some things you avoid, like random statues that come to life and explode into horrible chittering centipedes.
Yeah, like you could say that they try to do this with Beast with the whole devouring. Like, there's an One-chan Beast that molests the Shota Beast into becoming their fucking new beast.
Well, it's
Like,
more like
they
there's
get
Matt
RRR'd
McFarlane
so hard that
that's
they-
inviting a 16-year-old girl into his windowless van.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to go for the funnier version, but yeah,
No,
it's
Beast
like a bad
doesn't.
hentai. It's like a bad hentai, isn't it?
No, Beast doesn't deserve that.
Beast isn't even worthy of the worst. Beast is just bad.
Beast isn't worth the same 5 voice actors from Japan making very awkward, squeaky noises.
God damn it. Oni-chan, no, don't touch me there. Yeah, but basically, here's the thing about heroes. Where monsters hunt heroes follows. A beast grows in power, they inevitably attract hunters who follow the nightmares they leave in their wake like tracks in the dust. Literature idealizes them as square-jawed, divinely chosen champions, putting themselves between brave monsters and their innocent victims, but the truth is more complicated. But that's the problem, too, is that the truth really isn't that complicated, because that's kind of what they do. They
Like, the beasts as a whole are assholes and heroes,
Yeah.
while
Yeah.
assholes themselves usually
They're
stop
still
asshole
killing-
behavior.
Like, they do in the end. Like, beasts, like, heroes tend, yeah, sure, they'll hear innocent people when they're putting down a beast, but at the same time,
And they
it's like,
usually are assholes, but still.
but they're still, it's like you can still be like, yeah, I can understand why.
Especially since in the original.
They're only at the level of super dickery that Superman was in the 60s.
Oh god, that's too good.
Holding
So-
a bottle of water away from Jimmy Olsen as he fucking dies of
Guys,
dehydration.
yeah, like he's in the middle of a desert and he's just pouring a canteen out in front of him.
And he's doing it in front of both Jimmy Olsen and Aquaman, so Aquaman's fucking dying too. It's like, Superman, please, we're both dying.
I don't know about this one, Jimmy.
Like I'm saying, I think that's the whole morality heroes are in this book.
Superman
Yeah,
adopts Jimmy Olsen and fucking ruins his life.
Yeah.
Superman was pretty abusive to Jimmy.
Yeah, that's a pretty good example. But basically, the whole thing that they try to say is that lessons changed, stories changed, and heroes are no longer the shamans and wise men and lore keepers that they used to be that would, make people understand the lessons that these horrible people are trying to teach.
What? No.
Like, no. Like, what?
No, the hero that randomly, like the spider throwing beast we came up, the hero that fucking gasses them in their own house has now saved people from the person who randomly throws fucking Black Widows at people.
Like, yeah. Like, sure, they might have gassed a house with a family inside it, but...
I mean, sure,
they
like
still-
5 other people died, but hey, no more
Like-
people are being put in the hospital for brown recluse bites.
Like, it's pretty gray, basically, is the whole point.
So
is that,
let's not forget that the things they fight are in the most literal definition soul-eating monsters.
yeah,
Who willingly gave up their own humanity, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah, like I'm sympathizing a lot more with the hero.
And that was the
Yeah,
problem.
that was the
Oh wait,
problem.
oh god, I just realized something also.
That's why they
Can we
changed
can we
heroes.
no, can we also add race traders to Beast?
Oh, fuck.
They are race traders, given they didn't even sacrifice. They threw it a fucking away.
Like that is putting in so like it's like, okay guys, you wanted to sympathize, you wanted to sympathize, and you wanted to connect with these beasts, the Anakin shit. Well, hey, but any black people who want to play this game, how would it feel to know that you're playing a race trader?
The thing about Beast that would have, like, a very simple change. Well, aside from the original.
It's not like that's not a hot topic and delicate issue.
Yeah. But, like, to give you an idea, one of the simplest changes, even if you didn't do my id idea where you represent the base desires and you're addicted to that shit, just have it be like one day they dream too deep and they fucking lose it on accident. They lose their humanity on accident.
That's the thing, is that there's some of this stuff in here is like actually, you can see where they took it and added this stuff about the hero narrative bullshit, right? Where they're terrible, they're awful, they can't be good. But the main problem is they even say beasts often sympathize with heroes, at least to that point. Even the noblest beast is still indisputably a monster of the darkest sort of nightmares, one who preys on human beings to satiate their hunger. Yes, they have reasons, but not all beasts exercise restraint, so perhaps heroes are a necessary evil weeding beasts out who go too far. So, that's a good point, right? And then they shit on it, like in the next thing. The problem is heroes aren't actually trying to solve a problem. They're trying to kill off a beast. They're trying to become revered for killing beasts.
How do you
Which-
know that, Matt? How do you know that the cops that
Because-
arrested you?
Yeah, basically because fuck you. This is how the world. Case. This isn't even like a.
Oh, by the way, do you like this slight dig at heroes not being as good as beasts because they don't dream harder?
Yeah, it gets better. So beasts use fear to teach and defeat their horrors. Yeah, but they
Teach my
heroes
ass.
leverage
No.
fear into dependency and adulation. A hero kills a beast, but then realizes the nightmare hasn't ended, their work isn't done, more monsters must die because they need the fame and money and blah blah blah. So they smear the beast's name, drag their publicly into light, makes her hated for mundane crimes, real or not, and amasses followers who know the truth about him and his enemy.
Which
Basically-
reminds me of one of the funniest moments ever, which is in like the only other expansion book besides the Night Horrors, which is that hero that's literally an internet troll.
Yeah.
So
no,
I
that's,
also
that's
just
not a
realized something
hero.
too.
That's we'll cover Night Horrors. That was in Night Horrors.
Wait a minute.
And
I also
that's
just
not
realized something
actually
that this
a hero.
is.
Oh, it was the other
Since
thing.
Since we're using beast to dive into the to the disgusting depths of Matt's mind, wouldn't this also mean that he doesn't truly believe that there isn't anything good in this world? That if anyone does anything, it's of course for a completely selfish and a completely selfish reason.
Yeah, he's a
Given
sociopath.
his disgusting
Yeah.
personality, that's almost a certainty.
Yeah, like he is a sociopath. There's no way about getting around it. So here's where we get into like nightmares, blah blah blah. What are nightmares? Who gives a shit? But the next tab, I want you to focus in on that one, Adam, on the next page.
Family
Atomism?
gatherings.
Oh, family
Jesus
gatherings.
Christ.
Huh?
Beasts, the Primordial is expressly designed to be crossover friendly, meaning that while it is a full standalone game, it is intended to run easily in conjunction with other Chronicles of Darkness games.
No.
As a result, you might see the reference to other Chronicles of Darkness books along with relevant page numbers. If you have these books, the reference sections and rules will be useful for crossover games. If not, don't worry, as they are never essential to Beast. Crossover within Beast is discussed thoroughly in Chapter 5.
Hey, fun fact, did you know that I gave up my soul and my lesson is I throw bricks at people who write shitty books?
Yeah, could you imagine if a fucking changeling ran into
Yeah,
ran
they
into
talk
a
about
beast?
that.
Yeah, you're spoiling
They-
something that I
Rough.
really want to get into.
Right. Oh,
Do
sorry.
we want to?
It's
Do you
it's
want to
terrible.
just jump to that because
Yeah.
It is
yeah.
so disgusting. I want to so bad. Yeah.
because
Okay, what page is
we-
that? What page is that?
It's in Chapter 5. Hold on, sibling rivalry Chronicles.
Sibling rivalries.
No, Chronicles of Darkness.
Chronicles of Darkness.
Chapter 2.
Chronicles
Sorry,
of
just trying.
Darkness.
Like
I'm
page 200.
sorry. This is just. I have to because it is the worst shit ever.
You think
This
he
is-
even
this-
understood
Changeling
anything?
the
Actually,
Lost.
This isn't even like
Where- what page-
There's some stuff
what
about
page is
running
it?
the other games in there, but to really get the full perspective of why this is disgusting, we still need to get further into Beast's degree.
But
Like, I
where are
argue we need to go through the first chapter and the second chapter to get to this.
Let's just say that beasts are effectively written as abusers because the main writer and creator was an abuser. And remember, the ethos of changelings are they're victims of abuse in their own way.
They're all abuse victims. Hell, Changeling 2E stresses the abuse victim aspect of it.
So
it's the
you
reason why they
imagine an abuse victim forcibly interacting with a race of sociopaths that are compelled to abuse people.
no, it doesn't make sense.
What page are we on?
But let's just jump into the first. It's just fuck the first chapter because it's just
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so
I'm
we're-
sorry. It's just we have to highlight. I had to highlight that. It is so disgusting.
Yeah, they have a whole like after all this, they've got a couple of like recommended stuff.
Okay, wait, no, I'm sorry. As I was scrolling down, I just noticed something, and I just have to point it out. It's on page 19. While a more lighted take on the whole Disney's classic animated version of Beauty and the Beast still deals with the game's key issues, particularly misunderstood creatures, bloodthirsty heroes, and the inversion of traditional monster story. For a more adult take, the live-action French release in 2014, obviously. So, yeah, we're ripping off Disney here, people.
Amazing.
For
Well,
decidedly
literally,
not
that's the entire
kid-friendly,
point
like,
of Heroes. That's like
Beast,
literally,
yeah.
Matt
It's
ripped off
Gaston.
Gaston.
Gaston is kind of the hero in a lot of ways in terms of this book, but at the same time, Gaston's kind of funny. Like there's an aspect of ridiculousness.
Plus, you can tell that aside
Oh.
from his dickery, he's usually a good guy. It's just
Yeah.
he had an obsession with this one girl.
Yeah, like that's the thing where it's not like to some degree heroes are like that too, but they take that and they take it to the worst extremes. Like
Gaston was an actual kind of hero that slowly became twisted and insane because for the first time in life he was denied something he wanted.
gee,
Still
doesn't
prick,
that
though.
sound like
Still
Matt
complete prick.
McFarland?
Oh fuck yeah! Only not even remotely a hero. More like the guy that like hates heroes because they look like the type of people that shoved him in the lockers when he was.
Oh god. Okay. And
Oh,
it's
I'm
another
gonna-
thing as I was scrolling down. It's another in the case I was scrolling down. Tales of the Dark Mother. Shane.
Tales
Yeah,
about the Dark
Why is that so
Mother.
bolded? Why is that so bolded?
Shane.
Here's what I think with Matt is that he hates heroes because in reality, the more heroic type people kept him away from women for very good reason.
I would not be surprised. You're actually I did not think of that. You might be onto something there.
This might be all This all might be like projection on his own account.
Should I spoil one of the template heroes, which is him being so creatively lazy he ripped off another character?
Let's get into the families of heroes. All right, so there are 5 families of beasts. Sorry, not heroes, beasts.
Oh, the families. All right.
So basically, they all stem from an iconic primordial fear. Now, they kind of stretch in some of these. So first one is the Anakim, Nightmares of Hopelessness. They're basically giants. They're about powerlessness and, like, we're bullying you because we're bigger than you, and that's the lesson we kind of teach. There's always a bigger fish.
Oh, what if the response is, you're a bigger fish? My response is gun.
Yeah, you can kind of say that they don't. The original draft of Beast, I've heard kind of had a little bit like beasts are kind of outdated. Like their purpose is gone now. So like
That would
everything's
be
fucked.
interesting. Like, yeah, their original purpose is to make people better by effectively sowing terror, because in times of hardships,
Oh god,
humanity
look at the
routes
stereotypes.
together.
Oh,
The stereotypes, though, the stereotypes in this book are some of the dumbest things.
Okay,
So
let's.
Anakim's stereotype of vampires: their greatest power is in the blood. It's not the way I do things, but it works.
By the way, do you like the template of the Anakin, like the drawing?
Yeah, it's just muscle woman,
Oh,
and then
look at those fucking tribal tattoos he's got.
She looks like she crawled out of that newest
That's a
Obsidian
woman.
game,
But-
Outer
Yeah,
Heaven,
I thought
Outer
that-
Worlds.
I was gonna say it looks
Oh,
a little
okay,
like
that's literally not
Joseph.
even trying to be insensitive. That's literally not even trying to be insensitive, but I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be a woman or a man.
yeah, I had to do a bit of a double take. I mean, in the background, that's clearly like fucking Lou Ferrigno, you know.
No, it's actually the blue man from Prometheus.
Okay.
No,
okay.
it's the Blue Devil from DC Comics.
Fun. Anyway, so werewolf, the spirit wilds have things that are bigger, and yet you're still the thing they fear. Nice work. Mage, when I say not all giants tower, it's these guys I'm talking about. Promethean, I'm impressed with how much body punishment your body can withstand, but you know there's more to that, right?
That's
Changeling.
okay. So
I think
no.
you've
I have to.
already learned what I have to teach.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I
So
talk.
literally it's oh yeah, you've been abused enough. I don't think I need to beat you up.
Like, holy shit.
So can I talk about the Promethean one because I really like
Yeah.
Prometheans. This is Matt not knowing about how Prometheans work. He assumes they all follow not Stanum. That's the one where you go into rampage mode all the time. But one of the refinements you can go under is known as the refinement of essentially masochism. Not really masochism.
punishment.
It's self-punishment.
Tin
Ascetism. No, tin is torment.
torment. Yeah.
I think it's not lead. It's one of them though.
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
the idea is like Cooperum, I think. Yeah, it's toughness by physical toughness by suffering.
Yeah.
He seems to only understand them on a very basic level.
To be fair, like the idea is that also beasts only understand like other supernaturals on a basic level. I mean,
yeah, but Matt doesn't really seem.
Yeah, but then also something I note is that after Changeling, the tone becomes a lot more hostile.
Yeah, Sin Eaters, because Sin Eaters are the people that happen when beasts do horrible shit. Imagine, if you will, that a beast kills you, and you find that there's this ghost god on the other side that says, "Hey, buddy, I'll take his timeshare on your soul. Like, I'll kind of merge with you here, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna kick the shit out of that guy. Are you down for that?"
You know what would be cool? A hero that's like a Sin Eater, but what happened was he was a normal guy, but the ghost he fused with was a dead hero, like an Alan Quartermain motherfucker.
Yeah, you could do that as a pretty. I'm actually surprised.
And then mummy, no one judges me.
A mummy can just erase you. Fuck off.
Mummies, yeah, a mummy could literally just erase them. And how the fuck are they even related to mummy? Like,
yeah, aren't mummies like servants of a higher power that were preserved?
Yeah, they're servants of the judges, which are like these eldritch beings that live in the underworld.
Oh, very clever, Matthew. You get a sticky star for that.
No one judges me, and then the mummy just fucking erases him.
The mummy just literally speaks a word and they are erased from existence because the mummy is just
Demon,
woken up.
What would happen if I tore off your fat mask, aka your face? Would anything remain?
It'd be very painful for you.
It would be very painful for you. Now, are we going to continue this contract, or will I have to escort you out of my premises?
Yeah, like Demon would actually be a book that would be worth reviewing just as a book because it's really good.
Like I said, that's one
We're
of
here
the.
For shit. But we're here for shit.
But we're here for shit.
This channel doesn't do good. Not often.
Not often enough, honestly. Anyway, up next is Nightmares of Darkness.
I actually just want to say one last thing because I just noticed in the birthright as we were going away. And just because of the horrible, horrible connotations I'm going to read in its fullness. For all that they can express dominance by their means, the Anakins are creatures of force. Its use and abuse comes naturally to them. Once per scene, they can break through any physical obstacle in a single turn, any physical obstacle enhanced by magic. So, yeah. And their lair is cramped crossroads, so places like dark alleys. So the very first thing I thought of, this is what I even think, remembering Matt, a rapist.
Yeah, no, that's another group.
Yeah.
Actually, there's an actual family of rapists in one of the books. We'll get to that book.
But the Anakim are the original. You got some nice things there.
Yeah,
the Anakim. I got ya.
Yeah, like the Anakim are a mugger. They're not the rapists.
Well, they can be the rapists.
They can be, but they'll just mug you. Eshmalkim, Nightmares of Darkness.
Do you like the bootleg of Hieranius Mora? Do you like the bootleg Daedric Prince of Knowledge that's there?
Yeah, it gets worse. The Edomites left few records, but the slit forced to work in the dark conditions. The miners encountered a creature that killed only it. As long as the light was lit, it could not approach, but as soon as the light would sputter out, one of the miners would vanish. Like, that's kind of a creepy story, and then you remember, wait a second, this is a beast? Like, why the fuck was the beast doing that? What was the fucking lesson you're teaching there, buddy? Bring a light into a dark cave?
Yes. The lesson is don't go in my fucking mine, or I will eat you.
Yeah, that's kind of shitty, isn't it? Anyway, Birthright, they can choose to initiate a grapple while still doing damage. Basically, they are gonna grab you and drag you into the darkness.
By the way, I'm gonna get you.
By the way,
I'm gonna get you.
Do you like how the Eshmaki, the aspect of darkness, is represented by a black stripper?
My god!
Also look, the artist can draw a woman's faces correctly.
She looks 80 years old. And do you like the perked up nipples?
Fucking awful.
and the side poop that he had to
Let's
add.
get to the stereotypes here because these are also pretty bad.
The world was young. It was your and mine. It's yours. There's a little added an S there, asshole. Together in shadows. Do any of you remember?
It was your kind and mine. So no,
and
it
then
is
like
the
an
singular.
ancient, and then
That's
like an
correct.
ancient Roman vampire, like fucking destroys her.
Ancient Roman vampire just morphs into a fucking monster because they actually can do that, unlike you, and rips your head off. Congratulations. Werewolf, you watch Boundaries. I live in them. Let's be friends.
Werewolf is like, get away, spirit thing.
Mage, what took you so long, so deep in the dark? What looks back? It isn't me. That's what you were thinking. That. What?
I think the mage would just be like, get the fuck out of my tower.
Yeah, they have some stuff on mages. They have quotes later. Promethean, I get being on the outside. The thing is, I like it here.
Mages aren't monsters.
Yeah, no, they're just awful people half the time. But
By the way, Prometheans would despise these fucks because they willingly gave up their humanity.
yes, there's a short story that we might want to take a look at later on because there was a Beast anthology that was released. And one of the stories involves some Prometheans, including one that actually completed the pilgrimage. And a beast that was that kind of had an interest in the group, and it doesn't end well for anybody.
Promethean, I get being on the outside. Thing is, I like it here.
Crawling in my crawl.
That means that this awful person is happy with being forced to commit horrible things. Meanwhile, the Prometheans, that's so bad. Like, for viewers who don't know, Prometheans' lives are horrible.
The world hates them. The actual reality itself tries to kill them, essentially.
And on top of that, they feel incomplete.
They have to create more of themselves to fix themselves because they have to understand the process of becoming human, which involves creation and destruction and like experiencing all this crazy different stuff. Meanwhile, they want to be close to humans, but all humans naturally fear and loathe them because they're basically animated corpses.
Or at best.
It's pretty much grimdark Pinocchio.
Yeah, it is, and it's quite a great game because of that. It's really clever. Anyway, Changeling, you're worried about being taken. I could watch you just to make sure.
Remember, this is written by an abuser.
Yeah, Cineater, you're never quite alone now, are you? Do you know what your other thinks, or is it always just watching? Yes, they know what the other thinks. They fucking talk with the Geist all the time.
I like the idea that the two, like the Geist and the Sin Eater, just kind of look at each other like, "Who's this bitch?"
It's literally a stand. You know, it's a fucking stand essentially.
They just look at each other.
Oh. The longer you walk, the less in the dark you are. I know how I feel about that.
You disrespect the judges. Be gone with you.
Be gone, thought.
I like my prey with multiple choice. I like my prey to be multiple choice.
Did you just rip off the Joker? How pathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next one is Makara, which is Nightmares of the Depths because of deep water and things in the ocean. I get that. That's kind of a primordial fear.
I like the
it's a bit of a stretch.
It's the best one, but I like how the Not Shark has a really poorly drawn tail.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was like some sort of mutated lobster claw.
Nope,
yeah.
it's a nut shark.
It's a nut shark tail. Like it's awful. Okay. Moving on. Anyway, to the
I don't like how the picture they have for it. It looks like a crack addict.
Yeah.
Guys.
No, it is a crack addict. Look at her fucking face. That's a crack addict.
Birthright. They can suck the air from a room. Woo! How scary.
Oh no.
They can make you claustrophobic though, which is pretty great. Vampire. You don't drown. My place then?
What?
Did you just...
You soliciting sex from a corpse?
I mean, necrophilia would be kind of like something that a beast would do on the side just for kicks.
Yeah, well...
If the vampire wasn't pale, they'd be paler now.
The sharks of the land is how they refer to werewolf. What the fuck?
I think the werewolf would just rip their head off just for even saying something that fucking stupid.
Abyss, you're looking at her.
No, I'm referring to the astro-ethereal plane. Now get the fuck out of my study.
If you're drowning in an ocean of sorrow, let me drown you someplace nice.
So this is
God. They want to fuck them.
Well,
that's just.
Here's the
I
thing,
just
though.
wanna
The
fuck.
Promethean one, they're the drowning in the ocean of sorrow. If I remember right, let's see. The
The Osirans are
Frankensteins
the
are the choleric. The
the Osirans are
Galateans
literally
are the
born from
sanguines.
the Osirans are literally born from
The
water though.
Osirans.
Yeah.
So this person's going after the corpse that's missing a body part.
Probably the penis.
Most likely the penis, because that's the most
And-
common one.
And for changelings, it's literally shit disturber. You've seen the depths, only I can imagine. When you're ready, I'll listen.
That's
So
the
you
closest to
really-
being nice to an actual abuse
Yeah.
victim I've seen.
It's literally, hey, abuse victim, why don't you tell me every horrible thing that happened to you in vivid detail, and I'll listen gleefully.
I'll listen to you.
The
I'll be your.
person-
I'll be your.
I'll
guide.
listen.
The
I'll-
changeling begins crying about how he was forced to make hats like literally 24/7, and then he looks and realizes this person has a raging hard on,
Yeah.
and they get horribly uncomfortable and want to die.
But they're too polite to leave, and it just keeps getting more awkward. Yeah.
Sin, we're both drawn to deep places. Perhaps the nightmares we find there are not so different.
I think Sin Eater's normal reaction is both the ghost and the human look at each other like, the fuck is this?
the fuck?
Because
Let's crack at it.
You've
How-
forgotten something. You've forgotten something out there, buried in the desert. Something you fear. I can wash away the sands.
Are they coming on to them? Like this is the Makara sounds like they're coming on to like 90% of these.
I'm just now envisioning the mummy
Demon,
going,
They've mistaken depth for dressing in layers. Opposed to you, who goes around in nipple rings.
I like the mummy one because that's the only time I think the mummy would just not erase them out of existence out of injured pride.
They just erase them out of existence out of offense.
Well, no, in this case, the mummy would be baffled, like, what?
Are you coming on to me?
How? Why? I don't even. It just goes right back into the sarcophagus. Like, no, let the world die. I need more time to sleep.
This is a good one though. Like I will say this about the Namartu, they at least have one of the better Promethean questions.
It's a Medusa.
They're basically the nightmares of revulsion. Essentially, like things that are ugly, like rotting corpses and
Insect.
piles of shit.
And
And-
spiders. Oh,
Giant
horrible
shit monster.
spiders.
So I have to say the image for him. Well, first off, I do like the monster kind of bug thing. That's kind of. But for the man, he looks like he's about to go on a spree shooter.
No, he looks like he's about to rip open his trench coat, and you just realize that his pants are crotchless.
Yeah. So anyway, stereotypes, vampires, those night terrors you leave them with sweat soaked and crying for their mothers. Is that how you dream of me? Let's find out.
Vampire just puts a hit on him out of spite.
Do you
Basically,
want them to
werewolf.
fear you, or does it just happen that way?
Yeah, this. I mean,
Are
They
you
are
coming
supposed
on
to
to
be
me?
they're
Seriously,
supposed
all
to be the embodiments of repulsion, so I guess awkward coming on to people is
Awkward conversation kind of works, yeah.
I just realized something. Also, are all beasts just shit disturbers who just like look at you like
Yes.
poking dead bodies?
Yes, they
yes.
Not only
Like,
that,
that's-
but like half of them are active necrophiliacs or bestiality weirdos.
like
It's like we are supposed to root for these people. We are supposed to connect to these people, right?
When Matt was writing this with the idea of monstrous souls, did he forget he's not writing like fucking sociopaths?
Do these things even have humanity at all?
we'll get to that. But right now let's so basically mage mysteries whatever. The one that I wanna point out that's actually really good is the Promethean one. These people who reject you, why do you let them?
Oh, that's so bad.
That's basically asking the Promethean to go into torment.
I know,
Yeah.
like that's the thing. Like that's why I consider it a really good one because it kind of points out what beasts do.
They're assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the difference is you're poking fun at a corpse that can then spontaneously use alchemy to disassemble you into your constituent elements.
Oh, and look, I think the demon one's really good. You're a virus. You infect everyone you touch with your fear and paranoia. I can't decide if I should thank you or end you. It's not like I'm not doing that.
Besides, actually, demons aren't really that infectious. They usually just want to do their own fucking thing.
Yeah,
No,
they
but
want to kind of be left alone.
even if they were true, even if that was completely true, it's like it's not like I'm doing anything different.
Anyway, Ugatlu are the nightmares of exposure, and they're about as dumb as you can think it is. This is like supposed to be your dragons and all that, or phoenixes, or whatever.
I like the really shitty dragon logo.
I like the really shitty Asian guy.
This magical bird.
I like how is the bird like on meth?
I don't
That
know.
bird-
It
Are-
looks
are-
like it's on meth.
Is this no?
But, like,
Wait.
his
Asian.
face is like stretched back. His face is like
Got it.
stretched back.
This is James. This is James Wong, the writer of Birdemic. This is his. He's
No, this is just Mickey Rooney in yellowface again.
Oh god.
Oh, and remember how we talked about how it seems like all these are coming on? I'll blot out the sun with my wings for you.
You take the ground, I'll take the sky. By morning, it's all ours.
This is creepy.
This is really
Yeah.
fucking
All
creepy.
this seem like it's coming on.
Can I read a few?
Yes.
Me. Icarus's mistake wasn't flying. It was flying badly.
No, it's
it's good
because
he's
he
too close
flew
to
into the fucking sun.
Yeah.
Promethean. If it's any comfort from up there, you look the same as any of them.
The only difference is I just inexplicably hate your face, even from like a mile up in the air.
Okay,
Inexplicably, I
Changeling,
want to-
that's... Changeling is just flat out creepy.
Yeah.
I'll see them coming before you do. Make a deal with me.
That's just asking for blackmail. That's what a changeling would think. You're working for them. You're trying to blackmail me.
Yeah. I admit your underworld makes me feel uncomfortable. It's so close in there. Well, no shit. The underworld.
I love the Sin Eater ones because Matt has like no idea what to write. So I'm just now envisioning like every time the Sin Eater and the guys
Well,
just kind of
I
look
don't know
at
if
each
it
other
was
like, what the
Matt
fuck is
that
this
wrote
shit?
these. Though,
Everything
like,
it was a tapestry. I can't wait to unravel it.
and then the last one is demons, or didn't fall far enough apparently.
Well, that's their goal.
That one's actually
goddammit.
kind of funny. That was kind of funny though.
It's not bad, but like
Yeah.
that's the point. They descend.
Anyway, that's the 5 things, and then you've got the 5 types, which are your tyrants, which is hunger for power, and there's
the
bear.
lessons.
The lessons are some of the best ones. Ari drives a cab. This is that one. He's a tyrant.
Oh, here we
Reynold
go.
is a health
Alright.
inspector for the city. Like, most of the time he does his job without complaint, but sometimes he finds places where horrible things have happened and left stains. Then he finds those responsible and he makes them clean up their messes. Human offenders are simple. Supernatural ones, they take a different kind of approach. Reynold doesn't mind the work. He just doesn't judge others for making the mess, just for leaving the stains left behind.
So he's the type of douchebag that intentionally makes sure that businesses get closed.
Yeah.
By the way, do you like the love child between Elvis Presley and Logan? And
Yeah.
Logan Howlett, fucking
Yeah.
giving the fists.
It's so derpy. So derpy.
Some of these are like really awful. Like the
The derp bear behind him is pretty good though.
yeah, the dirt bear is pretty great.
The Met is this is for the next one. But Zemi is a burglar of a sort. He doesn't creep in quietly or slip in through windows. He walks in, takes what he wants, earns and leaves. If the homeowner tries to stop him, you're free to do so. If they can stop him, Zini feels they deserve to keep their belongings.
Like,
What?
yeah.
Oh, is that the
collectors-
collectors? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
collectors hunger for the horde. Tyrants is hunger for like power or domination.
Right, but, like,
Rose collects teeth. The fuck?
I know, but listen to this. But Zeme he's literally using Skyrim logic. I'm gonna walk into your house and just take your things.
I'm just now envisioning
kinda
like puts a
funny, yeah.
trash basket on the person's head and then takes all their stuff.
And then look at the one under the collector, which is kind of great though.
Oh god,
the
that
image.
monster's amazing.
That monster is really cool. Like,
Yeah.
I want a
It's like-
movie, like a B movie with that thing. Like,
And then you have this bored ass girl like, yeah, here's this.
It's
Yeah.
it's my teeth necklace. This is like the grimdark tooth fairy.
I think that might be Rose. Yeah, that might be Rose, and that might be her tooth necklace.
That's funny. I love this one though. The Horde of an Martuch collector, by the way. Not many collectors hide their riches away from the world. Many do. Not Nigel. Nigel acquires, if anyone asks, heirlooms, antique clothing, items of historical significance, and then he defiles them. He smears the hand-stitched clothing with blood or shit, then carves deep, unnerving furrows in the furniture, and then he puts it all on display by the side of the road under a banner that reads Sic Transit Gloria Mundi.
What an asshole!
Like, that doesn't even make any fucking sense. Like,
Are you collecting anything?
it's not a collection. It's just like...
I'm sorry, I'm just envisioning his hero just being Indiana Jones trying to stop him from defiling all these artifacts.
Belongs in a museum.
Don't stop shitting in the Holy Grail!
But yeah, then there's two of these, or just like three of these that kind of just all come together, right? Which is like hunger for prey, which is kind of a simple hunger. Like it's literally you want to steal things, take things from people, right?
The Predators teach a simple lesson: mortality.
And it's
I
like
also just love the man's face he's about below the griffin.
I think he just pooed himself or is having a stroke. Either that or it's the very beginning of an autistic tantrum.
okay, so here's this one, right? John Dawson owns a big house in the south end of town. The house has many rooms and a high slanted roof. John steals people, takes them away to his house, and keeps them there long enough for their families to grow desperate. He waits until someone accuses somebody else until the dirty laundry comes out and the grief and the fear breaks someone. And then he releases his prisoner, hungry but unharmed. Most of the families repair themselves. John prides himself on being the one to help clear the air. How is that the hunger for prey?
Also, how is that possible at all?
How's that a lesson, even? Like...
No, how has he not been gunned down, like, by the police?
Also, why does it take so much care to focus on his house?
Like...
Well, no,
why does the person he steal
like
not
Holmes.
rat him out?
H.H. Holmes' rape castle or something like that. Like... Okay, but anyway, so the next one is hunger for punishment, which... Jess's... Oh, God. Ishmaki one. Ogre is kind of a fun one, though. Like, they have an Anakim nemesis where it's basically... His whole thing is that if somebody... He's made friends with a couple of changeling, and this one actually makes sense, is that he's the guy that they call in when somebody breaks an oath. Because his whole thing is he punishes betrayal. Right? Like, that's a good idea for a beast. Like, that's a beast that I could see a changeling actually working with is one that's like, okay, yeah, we've got somebody here that we need a little bit of help with because they're a little funky. They're an oath breaker. And this guy's like,
sorry. I couldn't see. I like you jumped around because you said Ishmaki, so I was looking further down.
Sorry, not Ishmaki. Anakim.
Yeah, that concept's like one of the only times I think they came up with a good beast idea.
Like, his whole thing is, like, if you want to fight, kill, maim, that's fine. But when you don't say you have someone's back and stab it, that's when, like, the he's gonna fucking beat the shit out of you because that's his thing. Which
you're fucking with others and like fuck that.
Yeah. Some of these are really bad.
By the way,
though, like,
do you like the horrible made up pronouns?
Jess's Brew doesn't know much about Zur. Like, I'm okay with this with Promethean because Promethean, like, they don't. They're
well, I mean, with Promethean, you can literally have a patchwork.
Yeah, like they don't exactly have a gender. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, they don't have a concept.
I still think it's kind of dumb.
It's dumb, but it makes sense, you know.
It's dumb, but you can
it.
get away with that at least early on, in my opinion.
In this case, it doesn't matter what your soul looks like. It's what everyone you have to be. You can only be judged on what people see of you.
Well, I mean, with Prometheans, you do have a slight glamour ability that helps a little bit.
Helps a little bit, but
in this case, where in the beasts, where they don't got a fucking glamour.
Yeah,
no, beasts are just normal people that occasionally. Oh, do you like the duo of the Makar Collector and the Makar Nemesis where they drown people in the fucking lake?
Oh yeah, these guys, Patrick and Ahmed, are a Makar Collector and a Makar Nemesis, respectively, who fell in love. Patrick placed his treasures at the bottom of Ahmed's lake, and Ahmed resolved to punish all those who would steal from his lover's hoard. People come to the lake almost every week looking to dive down to take the abandoned treasures. Of course, Patrick makes sure to spread the rumors about the treasure. That way people come looking, and his lover gets to punish them.
It's literally a murder duo.
Yeah, like, that's the thing about this. It's like, that seems to be like one of the original pitches for Beast, almost.
If I wanted to play a serial killer, I just go.
play a
I just,
slasher. Yeah.
Just play Barry.
Jesus.
And then here's the thing, Ravagers, Hunger for Ruin. Like, the thing is that a lot of these hungers cross over pretty heavily, which is like Predators, Nemesis, and Ravagers. They're kind of all the fucking same.
Why do you think I divided it on the id rather than this bullshit?
Yeah.
Like, it would have made more sense where, like, the id, where your id formation is just what you need to feed on. That's your family.
Yeah, also, there's the shitty flower dragon on the next page.
I was about to say, is that a dragon or a flower?
It's a really shitty flower dragon.
It's the dandruff dragon.
So why is all that weird stuff floating around her? What is that?
I think
It's-
it's like
it's
shattered
telekinesis,
glass or
Kyle.
something.
Also, if you scroll down past the shitty fucking Tales of the Dark Mother and Nightmares thing that nobody fucking reads, because why would you read the fluff in a book this bad?
Anya.
I don't know what to call this.
A random
Wait a minute, that picture. Wait a minute, that picture. I've seen that before.
Yeah, that's also on the cover of another Beast book.
Oh, I was gonna say that this is a random fantasy drawing that was for
Yeah.
a rejected book that was
Yeah.
just put in Beast.
Well, wasn't
They
that
just
for,
added
like,
a filter
for,
to
like,
it.
one of- I was gonna say, this looks like that one of the pictures they used for that book that they were releasing at the end of the old World of Darkness.
Time of Judgment.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it might have been
It has
partially
that
based
vibe.
on that. Yeah.
It has that vibe. But yeah, then here is like, Waking Nightmares, and it's always like, oh, okay, so this is like your whole, the view from without. Like, kind of like they're talking about more stuff about beasts and like more of the flesh, blood stuff.
Oh
and
god,
like
they try to explain the primordial dream.
Yeah, and oh, holy shit, there's a pretty spooky picture on page 53.
Horrors, like it's the same fucking shit that we've already read. God, well, we haven't read. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a spooky
Wait,
picture.
is that a video game image that they fucking stole from like Condemned or something?
I have no
Wait,
idea.
where?
On
Wait,
page
this might-
53, it looks like they stole a video game image and just put a shitty
I
filter
think
on
that,
it.
hold on, I think that's a Silent Hill.
Silent Hill PT. Yeah, they just fucking stole that. Amazing.
Yeah, the best part is Konami can't sue them because they don't want to make PT exist anymore.
Oof.
The mythic
And also
self.
more gay beasts on the next page after that.
Oh, family.
The date isn't going well. It's going fine, which is the opposite of how Rick wanted it to go. Alessandro is completely Rick's type. Strong arms, blue eyes, thick hair, but he seems tentative. Rick can't quite stop seeing it. Well, pray. They haven't really found anything to talk about.
Fucking vor shit already.
What do you dream about? Alessandro's question is weird, but what the hell?
Oh no,
Flying,
this is gonna
says
be
Rick.
horrible.
Mostly, like a bird. Alessandro's blue eyes are fixed on Rick, and Rick notices he isn't blinking. Like a hawk. Rick clips his lips. You dive,
No,
yeah, and then you catch. Yeah, whatever I'm diving at. They stare at each other for a minute longer. I have that dream too, there's Alessandro. That's just. But yeah, a group of beasts is called either a brood or like there's the families, and like they're talking a bit more about them. Like it is even fucking good. But like this is the page where they've got a view from without from Promethean about like a Promethean watching a beast. And it's like really dumb.
Yeah, Promethean would not be appreciative of beasts.
That's the thing. I can see the second that Prometheans figured out, like in the stuff that ran around with it, but like I could see a beast getting into a Promethean group and like ruining all of their lives, and then after that, basically every Promethean that ever meets another Promethean is going to talk about these fuckers and say avoid them at all costs.
I'm also just imagining-
once they realize they threw away their humanity,
They're not going to hang out with them anymore.
yeah, thus throwing away their fucking not even New Dawn. They were gifted with having the New Dawn from the fucking start.
Yeah, it's better here when you get to this. So here's a vampire talking about some beasts. This is on page 56.
Because we've already, like, if you very quickly skim through this shit, you don't need to read it again.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
Wait, what's the view from without Julia Phoenix?
That's the Promethean one.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's really insulting because the Promethean, they'd be interested, like a human with weird powers, but then they'd realize that they're a.
I like this one. I do not want to say to her, "This beauty, this woman with a dragon in her." I could not feel the inner fire the way I would I would with another like me.
Inner
But if I
fire?
had without doubt seen it, yeah.
No, humans don't have the I think it's called Azoth.
Zothic fire, yeah.
They don't have Azothic fire, you
But yeah,
fucking idiot, Matt.
It just sounds so dumb. This beauty, her inner fire.
Like the big thing about Prometheans are they don't have souls. They have an Azothic flame, essentially a furnace inside their body.
It's got a piece of Prometheus's original flame in it.
Instead of a soul, which is essentially its own thing, kind of.
Yeah, like souls in World of Darkness, you can do weird shit with souls. Mages make and destroy and eat souls all the time.
Meanwhile, with Prometheans, it's more an imitation that's literally just fire, like a divine fire of some sort.
Yeah, it's the divine fire. The divine fire, the one that Prometheus
Sorry,
spoke
I got us off track. Ken Atten, Deva of the Carthian movement.
Yeah, I ran with
Okay,
the
so not only a hippie, but like a sex pervert hippie.
No, this guy is probably a because the Carthians can be anything from neo-feudalists to full-on anarcho-socialists to ANCAPs, anarcho-primitivists even. Like the whole point.
I'm going with the ANCAP that advocates for harem bullshit, like sex pervert type stuff.
Yeah, because that sounds about right for
because he's a Deva.
No.
Joins Islam for polygamy.
No, I'm gonna go with the gangrel anarcho-primitivist who runs around throwing his spears at people.
You could totally do that as a Carthian.
Yeah.
Burn it all down!
Yeah, that's totally Carthian. Anyway, Carthian are... Anyway, all the Covenant in Requiem are really good. So
I ran with a coterie of the children for a better part of 5 years. They're not kindred, but they're treated me more than like family, more like a clan than any of my fellow serpents ever did. I have to assume that part of that is because we weren't competing for the same food. Or maybe they were just wired differently. Hard to say.
I'm surprised that they're not instantly suspicious and weirded out by the fact that they're being treated like with no suspicion at all.
I also like how he calls them serpents.
That's his other Deva.
Yeah, Devas are often called that because they're pretty duplicitous.
Serpents, tempters.
I will fully admit I'm not the most exact on pronouns that vampires use.
I'm like a journeyman at that because I've started to get interested in New World. I'm still much more of an Old World guy, but...
Never let it be said they aren't capable of backstabbing, though. One of them was a big, brutish guy called Zane. Another was a little Filipino woman called Anna. Zane and Anna had a relationship, I guess. One day they were fuck buddies, the next thing they were picking at rings, and by the end of the week they were barely civil. I never quite understood.
You used to be human. What the fuck, dude?
One night, Zane killed Anna's sister. Not another one of the children, like her real-life blood and sister. I still don't know why he did it. It didn't seem anything personal against Anna, just that Zane was really hungry and that's who he wanted. We all went to the funeral. I was late, but I made it. And the vibe there was weird. The rest of the catery, they say brood, had resigned. Well, that's what had to happen. Kind of feeling about them. Anne was pissed off at Zane, but she got over it.
What the fuck?
I kept waiting for the revenge, for Anne to poison the big fucker or something. Well, it never happened.
What?
And this is where we can get into the idea of beast culture, or more accurately, it's basically the nerd social fallacy of, no matter what they do, they're still one of us, so it's okay.
Not only that, but the whole fuck the normies.
Yeah, that's another big thing about this.
So wait, did he eat? I just also baffled. Did he eat her after they broke up, or during they broke up, and that's why they broke up, or did he eat her after they broke up? And it didn't matter?
Given that Zane's probably an Anakim, he probably broke her like a fucking toy.
Yeah, like he just killed her basically because he needed to satisfy the hunger to feed the horror.
Then he went to her funeral like the biggest level of douchebag.
Like yeah,
and did not get gunned down by the cops.
Like none of this is all this fucking shit is.
What should have happened is then like 1 week later they find Zane in a fucking prison.
But like the point though is that even vampires view beasts as fucking monsters.
Like sociopaths. Like Ken's like, why is she not getting vengeance for her sister?
Like that's the thing about this. Like
That's the thing,
vampires
yeah.
are sociopaths. Like let's not beat
Well,
around
like
the
they
bush.
start off
Vampires-
normal, but the older they
Yeah,
get, the less human they
they have
become.
real life connections, and especially if they have real life connections, that's their touchstones. They're very sensitive about it.
Yeah, even the oldest monster, if they've still got a little bit of connection to like a family thing or like a child or whatever else, they'll flip the fuck out. Vampires will, like if something like that gets touched, because they're,
Beasts.
beast
So
I
Ken
am,
would
less
be
the beast I
like,
become.
Ken would be like, this person should be our touchstone, someone you cherish, and she
And
fucking casually stopped caring.
yeah, that's why this kind of is one of the better examples of why beasts are awful.
Like even vampires are going, what the fuck? These guys are
And
crazy.
vampires are monsters, like actual
Like the
monsters.
800-year-old semi-insane vampire.
Soulless monsters. Soulless monsters.
Literally soulless. They gave up their humanity. At least with a vampire, they don't always have that choice.
Yeah, you can be forced to be. They say that maybe you could be forced to become a beast, but if you maybe you just die then, if you refuse it. But it's like, what? Like no, vampires don't have a choice. Is the thing. Like sometimes you can make somebody a vampire against their will. It's totally possible.
Particularly spiteful ones too.
Yeah, Nosferatu that are really fucking mad will will do that.
I know it's from one. I know it's from like old world, but I can definitely still think the Cleopatra was the thing.
Yeah. We are all family.
I
Basically,
like
we're all
how
family.
I like how it's like you can't just get rid of the horrible motherfucker that's randomly murdering people. You have to try to understand you have to understand the sociopathic maniac that's beating people to death with a fucking tire iron.
No, you
Says
get rid of them.
we are
Then
all
you try
family.
to-
Oh,
Yeah,
hold
we're
on,
all
you all
allowed
said-
to be. Also, we're all allowed to be who we are. Beasts are monsters. They can't be otherwise. They must be
Bullshit.
allowed to hunt. Yeah, like this is all nerd social fallacy. Like this is why people like Matt get into communities. Essentially, is this sort of fucking shit. Like eat to live, don't live to eat. Like what does that even fucking mean? Where it's like they're supposed to teach lessons and they're
Their
supposed to
gay ass
reinforce.
culture is literally rationalizing why they have the need to throw spiders at children.
Yeah, and it's not even like
fucking leave people to die.
No,
I'm an
if
asshole.
the
I
choice
can't
of
help
feeding without
it.
teaching- If the choice of feeding without teaching or starve, no beast would begrudge a brother for a little mayhem.
Literally,
Fucking
fuck your
Christ.
lessons. They don't even like uphold that shit.
Yeah, this is why it's just so awful. Is it? There's
It's
nothing
so
to this.
bad. My ulnar nerve is flaring up in my left hand.
Yeah, like even vampires. Like vampires have strict rules because they know that if they don't follow them, everything breaks down.
Same
Right?
with werewolf because their literal goal is to prevent the spirit world from completely nuking the natural world.
Yeah, and like hell, even mages have like some kind of society. Like
Well, they
mages
want
go too
reality
far.
to not collapse.
Yeah, like they say like whoa, buddy, like you're gonna ruin it for everybody. Sure, you can sacrifice a virgin once in a while, but like cover it up. Don't do it like every fucking week because that's terrible for everybody.
Geists are like, hey, we try to figure out. We're literally Scooby Doo, or
Scooby Doo this shit. Yeah.
well, it's like we gotta find out why this ghost is haunting the bathroom of a gas station.
Psyching of that, that actually kind of leads into the next view with that view from without. If you want to get into that,
Oh,
Sure.
I totally want to see
But
how
yeah,
a demon's response.
Mr. Tin, Psychopomp Saboteur.
Oh, that's actually a pretty decent idea.
Yeah.
Well, this-
Strangest job I ever did was in Reno. I don't even know who gave me the job, really. They wanted me to break into somebody's dream and kill a monster. Not the sort of thing I usually do, but I'd done something similar over in Germany. So I went out to Reno, found the target, ripped open a gate, entered the dream, and saw the monster. That's when I realized I wasn't being paid nearly enough. Oh, I did the job. Not that night. I had to back off and do more research, but I did it. It was not easy, and it cost me something I'd rather have not given up.
An identity,
Yes, I'll
most
tell you how I
likely.
did it. Yeah, most likely is cover. Yes, I'll tell you how you did it. Once you pay up. Also, they talk about like the apex, which is like this whole idea that beasts will basically fall in line with the strongest person thing inside of an area.
Ugh. So it's literally ooga ooga oof 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 oof. I'm the alpha motherfucker.
Randall,
Yeah.
your cultists have a more refined culture and hierarchy, and they literally worship writhing masses of flesh and of
Literally,
the
so
blind idiot
quite literally,
god.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how smart, intelligent, or whatever it is. As long as you are the biggest, baddest abuser, everyone does what you say. So wait, wouldn't that also mean, because of the nerd fallacy, that'd be incredibly easy for beasts to abuse other beasts?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Then
It's a literal family where you just beat each other over the face with fucking tire irons,
yeah.
or hide in
To, like,
closets to terrify each other,
We're teaching lessons.
or fucking throw them in the lake when you know they can't swim.
And laugh
Oh,
as they try to swim. But
these-
yeah, here's the stuff where we're gonna get at right here. So, extended family is the page right after this, and this is where we get into the really just this book fucking shits on everything about everything else.
I get the distinct impression none of the other book's writers were informed of this before it was going
Oh
out.
no, this
I
was
kind
Matt's entire idea. I bet.
this was mostly Matt's idea. I mean, the idea was for it to be a crossover thing, but I think the idea was more like, well, here's the weird Swamp Thing guy. I mean, he might want to hang out with some of your vampires, and here's the reason why they might hang out, which could be like, Swamp Thing also drinks blood or something like that.
I'm not gonna lie. I did like the demon one, because not because just the beast tying. That's one of the few times it felt really interesting. Like, I really do want to know how this guy had to handle that beast.
Like, how the fuck did he kill a horror in their lair? How the fuck did he do that?
Why did he lose his cover doing it?
Well, you'll know if you pay up.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's actually like some of the best writing in this book.
It is the only good writing we have seen so far.
Now we had that one line that was pretty good.
Oh yeah, where with the demon you didn't fall far enough.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Notice that it's the demon parts in this book that actually do well.
And those are confrontational, and those are always confrontational.
Yeah, because everybody hates bees.
Everybody has a reason to hate beasts. Everybody. That's what's kind of amazing, is that they want to say that no, you have a reason to love them, but no, because you have a reason to hate them entirely.
At least if you went with my id
Oh
idea,
god,
you could have reasons.
They're comparing the vampire beast to these beasts.
Oh,
Yes.
fuck you.
They literally say vampire has a beast after all.
They do, but it's more of their instincts, the horrible instincts of their corpse-like nature.
A vampire aren't vampires those who give completely into the beast and abandon their humanity? The literal disgusting monsters like Draugr.
Yes, the
Yeah.
Draugr are kill on sight. If you encounter one, you can kill it. You can diabolarize a Draugr and nobody will give a shit.
And so
They'll actually applaud
if
you.
If a beast went up to them and then actually said what they call themselves, I literally expect the vampire to do a check to not make the guy suspicious, and then wait till he turns around and then just neck him.
Yeah, I can see that happening with a lot of these, but there's mechanical reasons why they don't, because they're super special and Matt loves them.
So if you, Kindred, look their bestial nature in the eye, because you become a gibbering monster that basically is reduced to animal level.
Yeah, like nobody wants that.
Even vampires belong to the circle of the crone get agitated when beasts mention the mother of monsters, whom they call Echidna. But both sides understand hunger and the lengths they must go in order to sate it. Yeah, the difference is vampires try to, not be suspicious when they do that sort of shit.
Beasts just don't give a shit.
Like a vampire that has to hunt, they'll go to like a bar and I don't know, drink a dude after seducing them, or they'll go out and find a person and
They'll,
basically
mug
mug
somebody.
/ neck them.
Yeah.
Well, a beast, what they'll do is shit abduct people from their house and fucking imprison them for weeks.
Just to fucking make people hate each other. That's the only reason they do it. too. It's like,
like causing
what
the
the
police
fuck?
to want to look for them, causing a massive manhunt in the fucking city, and stirring up everything, while the vampires are like, fuck, now we can't drink people at the bar.
Yeah, like mage. That's one of the things about beasts is beasts work the best as antagonists to other splats. They don't work very well as their allies. They work very well as their
Werewolves.
antagonists.
Werewolves. A wolf must hunt, bound by this law. Wrath
No.
embodies the hunger for the prey. They are blood brothers to beasts
No.
with similar
No,
appetites.
like the whole thing is yes, the wolf must hunt, but the wolf also like they hunt.
Oh,
This is
pack loyalty. They compare the abusive relationships to pack loyalty.
No.
Yeah. That being said, werewolves. There's a book for werewolf crossovers called The Pack, and it's actually pretty good. Like they
Like the-
cover why a werewolf pack might adopt, air quotes, adopt a like mage or a vampire or something like that into a group with them. And most of the time it's because like with changeling, it's family that they want to protect, for example, or it's like
Experience can out trump anything sometimes.
yeah, or sometimes it's just like we both ended up fighting the same horrible spirit monster, and
Shared experiences.
you did a good job in containing this monster. Like, yeah, we hunt, but we like the whole thing about them is yeah, we hunt, but we hunt to make sure that the fucking world doesn't get covered in bad juju.
Yeah.
Oh, a changeling view.
Oh, no,
oh boy.
we're saving that for last. But
Also,
mages,
somehow mages are somehow kin to beasts. I want to see this
no.
makes no sense.
Now I
At
forget.
all.
Are new mages still the same, where they just randomly their soul awakens to the
Yes.
higher reality?
Yes.
Reality deviants.
Then they still have human souls. They're just more refined.
Yes. That's why this doesn't make any sense.
They have their human soul. They're not kin at all.
This is why it's awful. Okay, so let me read this one out for you. Mages are more human than many other kin, but they hunger just the same. The awakened hunger for secrets. The collectors among beasts understand that once a secret becomes knowledge, it isn't a secret anymore. Mages and beasts often play a cautious, protracted, and even, depending on the personalities involved, flirtatious
Ew.
game of cat and mouse as they decide how much to
So
reveal
all
to
that
each other.
coming on was on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since beasts often find themselves involved in the deeper mysteries of darkness, though, they have enticing bait with which to lure a mage.
Meanwhile,
So
this is
literally-
what a mage really should be like. Huh? A human being that is destroyed, that has the soul of a monster from the deepest parts of the spirit realm.
I should put this in a lab and like look at it and figure out how to make more.
The last sentence is literally the only thing that makes sense in that they're interesting prey for the mages.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're mage bait. Mages, if they find a beast, are like, this is interesting. I want to find out more about this fucking thing. And then that's how, like,
and the fact that they are compelled to commit horrible acts to feed this monster, which randomly leaves their body to torment people in their sleep.
Yeah, like, maybe we should deal with this, guys. Like,
actually,
this could
wouldn't
be a
werewolves, because of that, want to kick the shit out
Well,
of beasts?
That's the thing. I'm pretty sure beasts don't tell people about the whole, if I don't eat enough, my soul goes out of my body and fucking murders people. But,
By the way, the view from without the ogre Earthbones of the Summer Court.
Yeah, he gets pulled out of the swamp. He's Shrek.
We have Shrek the ogre.
Wait, I gotta read. I'll read this one.
I'm not doing that.
Here's what I
Somebody
know.
once
I
told-
pulled myself out of a goddamn swamp. So filthy, I'd never see me real skin again. Mouth full of peat and ice burning, and Nick's offered me a hand up. I can't do that voice.
I went back to my house and found another guy wearing my clothes and kissing my wife. So Nick's lured the fucker to the swamp so I can send him back. Yeah, and I know what she does. I know she chases people down, jumps on them from rooftops, marks them. I know it turns my stomach it should turn your stomach a lot. But you know what? I asked her, you never take them away. And without missing a beat, she says, God no, they get to go home. I just want them to look around a little more.
So basically, this is a beast that, as a crazy fucking psycho, jumps on people and like probably takes a knife out and like carves stuff into their skin.
This is the worst part. I think I'm okay with that. I wish I looked around a bit more too.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. Yeah, like Like
it's like, oh yeah, Nyx goes after women who are dressed provocatively in bars. I wish I had dressed less provocatively. Maybe then I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been raped.
yeah,
That literally.
that's actually a lesson that is given almost as an example for Beast. Like there's a lot of splat material for Beast. I think we'll also want to cover the Reconstruction era Beast, which
What?
is
Construction era beasts.
yeah,
Oh,
like Civil War, basically. You can kind of imagine that one.
Oh no.
I'm
God,
just envisioning
sad.
Abraham Lincoln intentionally just setting up a department just to kill them all.
No, remember, Task Force Welker is created in response to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln by a vampire or some shit. Like, there's a good reason why everybody kind of ignores some of the Hunter lore because it just doesn't. But
But
you
then
know.
again,
John
it
Wilkes
could be-
Booth
it could be-
being a
it could-
fucking
that-
vampire.
No, John Wilkes
Yeah,
Booth is
but
the
also
Fall
remember-
Man. They got a body double of
Yeah, but-
Lincoln, and then John Wilkes Booth killed that, and then they killed John Wilkes Booth.
Wouldn't it have been better if he was like a ghoul?
At the very least, with Hunter lore, that can at least be dismissed by most of them being complete paranoid schizophrenics.
Wouldn't it have
Yeah.
been smarter for them to, like, John Wilkes Booth is the ghoul of a very angry vampire that, like, used his
Or does, like,
slaves as his fucking herd.
I could see that, but they didn't do that, which honestly, I don't blame them for that because this is the problem that Beast has too, where Beast wants to get into the atrocities. And it's like, no, there's a very good reason that after a couple of books, Old White Wolf especially, distance themselves the fuck away from having anything to do with like some of the worst atrocities of humankind, with like supernaturals being behind it.
Unless, like the only way you
Oh,
can
you
even
mean
make
you
sense
mean
of
like
it
how
is
they
the fact
forgot
that
about that
1,000
lesson?
years.
Sorry.
Like, okay, let's go. Okay, if you want to make something like with vampire, oh, okay, the Assyrians, yeah, they killed a lot of people, and who knows, maybe they were worshiping vampires. Who knows?
Yeah, like that's like ancient fucking history, not like, oh yeah, the Holocaust was caused by Heinrich Himmler, who became a vampire because that was his
That
his
actually
objective.
happened.
But yes, Heinrich Himmler is a vampire, Vampire Masquerade. We need to do a World of Darkness grab bag at some point.
Old world.
Can I comment that they forgot that when they made the newest edition where they had the
They didn't
Chechenian
forget that.
horrors?
They didn't forget that
Oh.
one. They just got rid of them. But the Chechenian, we can discuss that in like a World of Darkness grab bag episode at some point because
Oh boy, Prometheans.
oh
They're my
god,
favorite out of the new creations.
this is a single one. They created are a puzzle. Their disquiet causes nightmares similar to that of a hungry beast, and their refinements are draped in mythic symbolism. Their lineages were created by human demiurges, however, and a Promethean's ultimate goal of humanity, making them the opposite of beasts in many respects. Unfortunately, while beasts are welcome to accompany them on a pilgrimage, the created are rare and disappear without a trace when their time is over, making it difficult to learn more about them. Like, so I can understand beasts being interested in Prometheans, right? Like,
Yeah,
because
they're
they are the opposite.
weird. They're weird people that cause nightmares, horror, and then you realize they're animate corpses powered by fire,
Yeah, they're fucking weird,
or
even
or
weirder.
fucking robots.
Or like robots, or like actually a child's imaginary friend. Like that's
Yeah,
second edition has that as one of their example characters and one of their like fiction characters.
or
It's
just a
literally
pile of ash that used to be a human before the atomic bomb fell.
yeah, and then it reformed itself spontaneously, and suddenly fuck, you know.
And yes,
Like-
Randall, there are nuclear Frankenstein's monsters.
Yeah, that's
I
part
don't
of
know how to. I don't know how to feel about that.
yeah, like Promethean is rad. We could honestly do a second podcast just about Promethean and
I-
how rad it is.
It is one of those games that I really want to play one day.
Same. It's just it's so hard to find people to run for it because it's very complicated.
Because it's a lot of alchemical shit that you gotta keep in mind.
Oh, all right.
It's not like math bullshit. It's just you gotta remember the basic principles of alchemy.
Yeah. You gotta
Anyway,
remember the equivalence of shame, Alphonse. You've gotta remember it or you'll turn into a tin man like we did before.
Actually, imagine like Full Metal Alchemist, where Alphonse is a Promethean.
He would actually work as a Promethean is the funniest thing.
Like you got Edward like being his demiurge that's stuck by him, even though like he's horrified at his existence.
Yeah, like it works, doesn't it?
I could.
Anyway,
That would be a great anime.
yeah, that'd be a great chronicle, honestly. But anyway,
Sin Eaters.
Changelings, which is the most
Changelings.
offensive one of all.
the Lost are beasts as far as beasts are concerned. Okay, fuck you. Like,
Yeah,
no, fuck you.
Yeah, no. Literally, okay, so Randall, I don't know if you know, the reason changelings become the way they are is a mixture of being stuck in Arcadia for so long, but it's also escaping because the maze that leads you to there, the hedge, it is getting dragged into there, rips apart your goddamn soul. Escaping out of it rips your soul apart a little bit more, and what gets replaced is essentially the otherworldly nature. Your soul is patched together by otherworldly nature.
By Cthulhu magic. Got it.
Effectively,
So, listen to this.
you essentially,
sorry.
you know how a deep one, how Innsmouth, they slowly degenerate into deep ones? Kind of the same thing, where a changeling slowly becomes an alien fae.
This is how the Fae breed. Like, actually,
Also,
is implied
just
that
listen.
this is
Listen
how
to this. Listen to this. The only reason why the beasts actually fear the fair folk is because their horrors can't penetrate their dreams. So that makes them. So it's like we can't abuse them.
That
Yeah.
shouldn't be the reason you're afraid of the fair folk. It should be their completely alien. And sociopathic view on everything.
Like,
And listen to
there
this.
could
On the
be-
other hand, they are so far beyond human. Like I thought it was like that. Not even beasts can understand them. But no, it's no that beasts can't have any power over them.
Like,
Yeah.
like to give you an idea, Randall, the true Fae are the type of monsters that will randomly take orangutans and mutilate them into being as intelligent as humans to sort hats in a post office. I'm not fucking with you. That's actually part of like one of the changeling stories.
Yeah, or take a person and change them into orangutan and then make them sort hats, because they can do that.
Oh, and the concept of time? What?
What's time? What's reality? What's anything?
What's past? What's future?
Like I don't think it's ever really brought up as much, but in Changeling, it's very possible that you could also do a time travel story in the sense that you come from 2021 and you're back in you're in 1997.
Yeah, they-
Or alternatively, you got abducted in 1882 and now it's 1998.
Usually,
But
they,
goddamn, you're from the goddamn Aztec Empire. What is the cell phone?
they kind of mentioned this in the first edition, but basically after about 150 years, there's basically no coming back from Arcadia.
Okay, okay.
But
still, that's
because you don't have enough of a concept anymore of what reality is that you can't get back to it, essentially.
Yeah.
And the
but
worst
yeah.
part is you can get stuck in the hedge maze for as long as for years, literally years, just running.
Eternity, and you'd have to have another changeling come in and grab you and pull you back. You couldn't escape on your own after that point. So this is why, like, this doesn't make sense. It's even also interesting to note that I think this whole section was written. This family section was written before they did the rewrites for Beast.
And then they didn't change anything.
Yeah.
And they didn't
So
change it.
yeah,
Because
which
take a look. Changelings are not born, however, but made. Where they say they are beasts. They share some similarities, but changelings are not born, however. So this implies to me this is when the whole beasts are born, not made thing was.
nice job, Michelle. Nice job catching that.
Sin eaters. In many ways, death is the root of all fear, and no one goes untouched. Accordingly, it is unmatched potency in the human psyche.
If that's the case,
Primordial.
why isn't one of the families literally the fear of death?
Yeah.
Because shut up.
Yeah.
That's DLC.
I think it is
isn't,
actually.
It isn't. It's not. The next one is
Oh.
fear of confinement or some bullshit.
Wasn't that kind of like? But
That's
this
actually a
is the same
decent
thing.
fear, but still.
Yeah, it's a decent fear, but isn't it kind of also taken by the first guys? Because it's mentioned that all their lairs are supposed to be tight, claustrophobic, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
the Horde
but they didn't
guys,
think of that.
Yeah, they don't think of any of this bullshit.
Fear. I mean, is fear of uncleanliness or impurity one?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's the bug people.
There's also the fear of the other. It's actually kind of a family that they put in the family book. The player's guide. That one's actually kind of clever, but
The
it's
fear of
handled poorly.
The fear of the strange, the fear of the foreign.
Yeah, basically. which is an interesting concept. They probably could have put that in the core book and it would have worked really well. But
It would have been better
Didn't.
than whatever the fuck. Like there was a couple that like whatever the fuck.
It
See,
would have
they're
been
not
better than the
even
dragon.
they're not even memorable enough to be remembered.
I
Yeah.
remember the
shark. I remember the
muggers,
shark. I
the
remember
shark people,
The
the horrible
birds.
bug people.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the PDF open and I've got
The only two that I really remember the names of are the Anakim and the Ishmaki.
Anakim, Ishmaki, Makara, Namartu, and Ugalu.
I only remember the Anakin because I keep thinking Anakin.
Anakin, no. Yeah, but anyway, so the mummies are also somehow related to them, which is dumb as fuck.
No, the mummy is not even close.
Mummies, by their own stuff, that's not possible. That's not possible.
The best way to describe a mummy, Randall, is they are servants of pretty much eldritch things,
The judges of the Duat.
which are essentially elder gods.
Yeah, 42 elder gods.
Cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
They are pretty neat. And
We could do a special like whole thing on just White Wolf splats.
yep, and these people, these servants, are effectively mummified and preserved so that they may rest for thousands, potentially millions of years, for as long as possible needed, before they are forcibly awakened to serve a purpose that they don't quite know because, well, they're fucking corpses that just woke up. So they just have to figure out slowly, and they're weird. If I remember right, they slowly lose power.
They lose power as the game goes on. Basically, they are on a ticking clock as soon as they wake up.
Yep. So it's kind of different from normal, where the longer the game goes, the weaker you get. But
So the
also, the
stronger.
more you remember.
The more you remember, the better, basically.
Because the thing that you remember is usually part of the task that you need to do to serve the Duat.
Or to escape the Duat entirely.
And finally be able to fucking die.
Well, either die or just live eternally, like actually have it be a true rebirth.
They're pretty neat. They're servants of eldritch things that essentially are awoken for a task.
Personally, the way that it sounds like, you could have the terrible things, but something I think would make the beast interesting is what if the beast were punishment for people that've done particularly heinous things? Like this is a curse for people that have truly done bad things, and this is to seek out atonement. And the whole goal of this story is to seek atonement. Couldn't you flip the whole idea?
Good.
That's kind of what the lesson concept of the lesson that Matt half-assedly wrote in was. And that would have been a lot better, where like the beasts represent punishments to humanity.
Or no punishment to themselves.
That too, but you get the idea.
Or beasts, beasts originally being human that are effectively are forcibly reincarnated as beasts to punish themselves.
Yes. Yeah. And your whole goal is that your story is to seek atonement. Meanwhile,
seek atonement while defying the saga, the forced saga that the universe is trying to direct you down.
Meanwhile, heroes are hunting you because you've done heinous things. You've done terrible things, whether that was in your past life or your current incarnation.
Yeah, but this would have been something that would have been handled sort of like Mummy, but at the same time, they did Mummy, and Mummy didn't exactly sell the greatest. Mummy's actually getting a second edition though, which I'm kind of excited for.
It was a sleeper hit, like the mummies themselves.
It was. It kind of at first people were like, "This is kind of dumb," and then people started reading as more of the material came out.
At first, it's kind of dumb, but then you realize you're the servant to an infinitely, horrifyingly unknowable panel of 42 entities that is out to effectively kind of save the world from some horrible atrocity. And you don't really know anything about why you're here, what you're doing.
Or you can be in service of the mummy who is in service of something of unknown eldritch power. So it's like, I'm in service of the unknown that is in service of the unknown. So it's kind of like this, we're gazing down the rabbit, like you're part of this cult because you want to gaze down the rabbit hole. Maybe this mummy will impart great wisdom or something like that.
And like the longer you go, the more of your humanity you gain back, but the weaker you get because your powers are slowly draining out of you.
or if you're in the cult, the more it goes on, as it's more revelations, your leader tells you, imparts
Actually, a
his or
cultist
her
the
wisdom.
Revelation book would be pretty neat.
Yeah, like something related to mummy cultists would be a fun book. But
Not
anyway,
only mummy, but like horrible eldritch, like changelings too. Like you could do like a general eldritch thing where it's like you slowly learn that which is not you're not meant to know.
yeah, you could do that. But anyway, back to Beast. Let's
Oh,
let's
fuck.
neglect really good ideas and go back to the terrible shit.
Let's
So
get back to the stuff that gave me
here's how
streptococcus.
yeah, here's how beasts feed. They don't fucking know how they feed, basically.
Mommy's milk.
Mommy's milk. Mommy's milk. Mommy's milk.
Me want
Over the
milkies
mommy
from
titty.
mommy.
Sorry, I've been holding that one in, but all I could think about was that I could think was that horrible line from that one Adam Sandler movie that I've literally forgotten the name of by this point.
But yeah, it's terrible. Anyway, so it gets worse, right? So basically, they mentioned that a sated beast can tear away mental blocks, such as a terrible beast can make sure that their victim still dreams of the homeless woman he killed, dying as her blood leaks memories into shattered glass, the slurs of pedestrians, the agonies of withdrawals, things like that. Where it's
Amazing.
like, they make people suffer, essentially. And that's awful. They're just awful. And like they mentioned that like if a beast is really, really hasn't been sated, the horror goes nuts. Like the horror will get out of there and try to eat everything. And you do like really fucking crazy shit, right?
By the way,
Like you'll
the
kill
horror
somebody.
doesn't need the victim to learn anything, making the concept of lessons pointless.
Yeah. And if you feed too much, it becomes harder and harder to feed better, basically. And
feeding. What the fuck?
if you feed the beast too much, you fall into a food coma, essentially. Where the beast
and you just become a normal weirdo.
Yeah, you're basically as weak as a normal human. If their enemies find them dazed atop their horde with their belly exposed to the world to see, their horror won't stir from the sleep to save their hide. So it's like maybe being an asshole is not a good thing.
I don't know, man. Being a mega asshole makes you actually a normal human for a while again. Well, aside from your sociopathic way of thinking.
And your soullessness.
And the fact that, oh yeah, all this shit you did, now that's coming to get you because the heroes are pretty much going to be alerted.
Because if you put your beast in a food coma, you must have done some pretty awful things.
The View from Without, Gianna Ayin Irest. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what any of this terminology is.
Gianna Ionescu?
Iraka Stormlord. What the fuck is this?
That's just a Romanian name. And Iraka Stormlord.
The Stormlord. No, Iraka Stormlord.
No, he's asking
that's
where's
werewolf.
that from? Oh,
that's
werewolf. Okay.
Mm.
I'm not really familiar with werewolf.
We can skip this one. This basically is just
Why is a werewolf in a car?
Basically, there was a car crash and the werewolf was tempted to eat somebody.
He just wanted to eat some flesh.
Which is like, for werewolves, that's the big taboo. Like, if you eat flesh, it's fucking awful. Like
human flesh, especially.
Human flesh, especially. Like, well, it's not flesh, but like human flesh and blood, because it's a lot of essence. It's really great, but it drives you fucking crazy. Like it's addictive, like super addictive.
And I'm imagining the fact that they die, like bloody corpses were there is why she was tempted.
Yep.
Although I don't think Matt really understood that, given how it was written.
Yeah. And like they had a bad night, they're low on essence, they're really fucking hungry, they're really, I need something. There's dead people. And then the fucking beast is watching them, and then it's like, hey, yeah, if you're gonna eat, I'll eat in too. And then I ran back into my car and I went away, and it's like, fuck, like that's kind of creepy, but at the same time, it's like it doesn't work. It doesn't work as a story.
It also doesn't work because it really doesn't. Like, I'm looking at the way it was written, I don't get the vibe that the werewolf was low in essence.
Yeah.
Page 64, Craig saying that it's beautiful.
I do like
choosing a lesson in teaching through fear? ?
Make no mistake, not all beasts are good teachers. No shit. Some make weak stabs of feeding, and then it's like, it's fine. That's kind of what they say. And it's like, but you've spent all this time talking about all this, and it's like, what the fuck?
And this is like the third time they've brought up lessons again.
Many bring their own prejudices to bear and wind up teaching lessons that they themselves could stand to learn.
And again, lessons aren't really a cultural thing. It's literally just justifying abuse.
No,
In
but
this
like
case, yeah.
it was the bias part I was emphasizing. It's like, Jimmy Olsen, you beat me up. I know I'm using the name, just the first
Yeah.
thing. You beat me up in middle school. Fuck you.
I'm just now envisioning Superboy using his super strength to like murder Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, one of the complaints about the original draft of Beast is it kind of felt like a power fantasy trip for like, you were my bully and now I'm gonna get you.
It still is.
And it still is the problem too. It's just,
Yeah, if anything, it's worse because
Much worse.
you're righteous. You're the good guys who's just misunderstood.
Like,
yeah.
and this is, I'm gonna also highlight, this is an example of the very shitastic design of the book, because this is like, it's just repeating itself over and over again. This is
The
like the
editing.
third time we've seen lessons, and this is like the millionth time we fucking learned about the goddamn lair, the horror. Like, it just keeps repeating itself.
Well, teaching a lesson through terror is morally reprehensible to most people, but beasts aren't people.
Beasts aren't. That sounds like something like a psychopath would say before they start killing them.
This sounds like, you know, like a Nazi concentration camp style thing. Yeah, no, they aren't people. You know.
I'm just now envisioning a slasher that's walking around with like a fucking SS uniform. They're not people.
Fine. And honestly,
If
I'd give that.
If a beast was honest, they'd admit they use the concept of lessons to make what they want more palatable. So let me finish.
Exactly, like what I said.
Let me finish. Some beasts rail at that notion, claiming divine purpose. Others try and make the lessons matter and improve humanity. Whether the Dark Mother charges them with it or not, it's a noble pursuit. Some others just shrug and cast it off, even the idea of a higher calling, and just feed.
So so basically they throw away the entire shit about the lessons that they built up through the
Which
last
is the only purpose
chapter.
of their existence.
Yeah. It's funnier because you look down in the next page, 65, the view from without. This is a mummy talking.
Oh boy.
I remembered your kind, but you seem different, unfocused, hungrier somehow when I saw you before, but you haven't always seemed so desperate to feast. What is it that has changed? I think that living people, know too much. They have learned too much, and what they have not learned, they can create. I think that perhaps they don't need your lessons anymore.
Awesome.
So, of course, you must make yourself a purpose. It's terrible not to have a purpose. It is death.
That's actually some of the best writing that I've seen in this book.
They're literally they're literally just outdated. They're like fucking gods and other myths. They're outdated.
Yes.
They're not needed to explain the world anymore.
It's even in the introduction chapter to a degree where they're like, nobody needs a lesson. Like, it's really hard to teach a lesson about, like, turning on the turn signal. Shit like that. Like, how do you do that?
Which, if they did that, like, the entire purpose of Beast were they're monsters that teach, not even teach lessons to humanity, but try to get people to unite. And their purpose is fucking dead because of modern society. That would be interesting.
Globalism exists, asshole.
That would be very interesting. That could actually be a good theme for the story. And
a monster trying to find a purpose to their existence.
An obsolete throwback, literally a throwback to an older time trying to find purpose.
That's kind of one of the things that Beast was originally sort of designed to do, and then they threw it out for the lessons.
And then they threw it, more like they threw it out for, we need to make heroes more evil.
Yeah, where it's like, if both heroes and Beasts are stuck in an endless cycle that doesn't matter
if they really wanted to dive into this, why couldn't they dive into the idea that the idea of a hero is almost an outdated and
hated by society too? Because look at modern society and how often they shit on heroes now.
It's modern life is cynical. It's very cynical to the narrative that has been driven up for a century. Everyone knows about the narrative and kind of accepts it, but no one believes it. No one believes it's really true.
Yeah, you could have done a much better. Everything about this book could have been done so much.
And the entire
better.
theme is, you actually have heroes as like it's. I would make it like a double book. So you got Beast, the Primordial. You got Beast. And then you got what Greg penned as Heroes the Suffering.
Techpriest, could you stop breathing heavily into your microphone?
Sorry, my mic is just... mouth. Sorry.
His microphone also got infected by Beast the
Yeah,
Primordial.
Yeah, it did because I'm trying to adjust it. It doesn't pick up. So it picks up my voice just right, but if it's too close, it picks up all that. Sorry.
You should have haggled for a better deal from that pompadour for that mic.
I know.
But yeah, having
The
like
psychopomp. Sorry.
both beasts and heroes as classes essentially.
Yeah,
And-
and it's
Doomed
kind of
to end in a deadly dance where one leaves with the others dead.
They do kind of mention this as a cycle of violence. Hero feels it, like the primordial deep. But heroes don't dream deep; they dream broad. And I'm like, what the fuck does that even? Like,
It's the rationalization for why they don't get the full horrible dream that the beasts get.
like they have a wider experience than primordial dreams, seeing the effect that beasts have in the collective unconscious of humanity. This means that beasts, or worse, multiple beasts, show up in more people's dreams or affect a small number of people deeply. Heroes feel that they are needed. They instinctively zero in on the damage and try to cut it out. Like, then it comes down to this, which is just dumb as fuck. Strip down all the layers of a hero's ego, and all one finds is murder. Murder is his only end, regardless of
What
bystanders.
page, dude?
68. It's about. It's going through like the.
Beloved, it's called Beloved Enemies.
Here
Yeah.
we go.
I know I'm to this book, but this book.
Also, wait, was that in reference to to Hoye?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
To Foye? Idea
Yes.
the idea that the villain and the hero want to fuck badly.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Like I said, the
They're
original
literally
theme.
they're literally using TV tropes. They're literally using TV tropes for it.
Like we've
Yeah.
said, the original idea that they had in the Kickstarter where they're bound by the saga. That
Well,
was
before
something.
the questions, before some of the ideas that were around stuff like that, but the dumbest shit about this is that strip down the this and the murder is the only end for a hero. I'm like, no, it isn't. Like that's it's only the only end for a hero because it's written as such.
I mean, there's also times where heroes don't kill the thing. Like, remember when the great warrior king Gilgamesh didn't kill Enkidu, the wild man?
Yeah, or remember like the Teresk, for example.
Or,
Like
or,
a fucking-
or just Odysseus. He doesn't. I don't think he
He
really
didn't kill the
anything in his story.
Cyclops, he blinded him.
Yeah, he just
He doesn't
blinded him.
kill anything in his story except the suitors, but they weren't monsters.
Except the people trying to fuck his wife. Yeah, but you know,
I mean,
that's
he
understandable.
fucking tricked Cersei into getting rid of her curse to pigify people.
By
He didn't
boning
kill her.
her.
Yeah.
He didn't bone her. He just boned the hell out of her.
So like instead of the fated death, it could just be like one of the endings is literally the hero and the beast just fucking violently fuck on the fucking
There's a
bar.
whole section of like of one of this where they're talking about like, oh god, there's a bit of fluff. We'll find it eventually where they're talking about that, and it's literally a beast writing to the
What
hero.
about heroes just
Yeah, about, like,
outsmarting-
hero
even
is
the-
their
like,
wife
even the
or some
biggest
shit?
brute, even the literal most famous mythological brute Hercules was known for his brain. Remember when he tricked the Titan in an Atlas
He got
taking
tricked
back the
first,
sky?
but yeah, he tricked him back.
Yeah.
Like, there's kind of shit like that. Like, yeah, no, I just need to adjust my cape and I'll be good. Like, what the fuck? How did you fall for that? But yeah, then the whole thing about like all this too is that they mentioned that heroes are almost bad as not real. This is where it kind of comes. This is the authors being retarded. And if you were actually writing something where you weren't trying to make the heroes irredeemable assholes because you didn't like my view of the thing,
Well, not only that, but notice Matt is attributing his bullies as literally being sociopaths.
And
That
heroes.
once you strip away all of their personality aspect, their only desire is to murder.
View from without, Agent Mike, Hadrian, Vasco. I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at here. This man, he gives his name only as Dante. That's
More like
alias,
Dante.
and is singularly focused on killing what he terms a monster. He refers to it as the Giant, but he says it wears the face of a normal man. We'll humor him and will ask for more details. Update. The Giant is dead. We found it. Following in Dante's... I'm not calling him that, okay? Dante's specifications, and it attacked. It killed 3 agents and injured 2 more, but it died. Dante seems elated, and I have to admit, he seems to have been right. Dante is now warning of a new menace he calls the Leech. I find myself strangely thinking of how Beowulf killed Grendel, but then found his mother to be the real threat. Okay, interesting.
Not really.
But
no.
of more concern. But that's not how the story goes. He kills Grendel, and then Grendel's mother shows up for revenge.
Yeah, then Grendel's mother comes in and kills a bunch of people in the hall, and then so he goes and kills Grendel's mother, and then everybody's kind of like, "Sweet, you're awesome." Then he goes back and becomes a king. That's
the
Beowulf.
story goes there's a great hall on Gotland.
No. Here's the best part. But of more concern is the fact Dante has become a regular fixture in my dreams.
Oh, that's not good.
Escaped with the age of a junior agent. I expect they will be not hard to find. Dante is not subtle. Wait, what does he mean he escaped? Did he have him locked up in like his sex dungeon?
Yeah, I don't get it.
The Vascu are a hunter organization, so they probably
they're literally
had some
like
holding
the
cells.
FBI. Like they're
No, but it just seems.
But
But considering it literally leaves off from he has become a regular fixture in my dreams, it has bad connotations.
Given how Mike has written, not Mike. Given how the sex pervert that wrote this book,
which is Mike, but Mike developed it. I don't know if he was a writer. I'm gonna actually check the credits on this. I'm pretty sure he wrote a good chunk of it.
He did write a
was
chunk.
Definitely.
So not the writer Mike, but
writers.
This Mike.
Matthew. Sorry, Matthew,
Matt,
not Mike.
Yeah, my brain is starting to die.
We're sorry, Mike McFarland. This isn't. We're talking about Matthew. We're talking about Matthew McFarland, the sex pervert.
Mike McFarland, I apologize if you exist in this world.
But Mike Hadrian now.
There was a point that I had about how Matt was intentionally writing Mike as another sex pervert, but I think it went the way of my health.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That may not have been what its intention here, but the fact that it literally leaves off right after he has become a regular fixture in my dreams.
Yeah,
if they had just put it at the end of the second update, I find this deeply concerning and feel I should be resubmit myself for further psychological testing. If they did that would make more sense. But since they just cut off from there.
Yeah. Also, no explanation of how this weirdo is a part of his dreams.
Yep, it's just there. Anyway, is the hero to blame for what he does is an actual question. They say, yeah, they are. So, who cares?
Usually...
Beasts aren't to blame, but heroes are. Fuck him.
But beasts cause heroes to form.
No, sort of. They kind of took that away, but didn't at the same time because this book is a fucking editing mess.
Fuck Matthew. Fuck Matt. He totally... He half-assed it so badly that heroes still, for the most part, seem to be created by beasts' actions.
Yep.
I mean, they can still spontaneously form because of how lazily he edited it, but because of how little fucking effort he did put into it, no, they're formed when beasts are assholes.
The hero of the story, this is on page 72. The hero is the story of an earthly paragon. He's the light that holds the dark at bay. He takes up the call to adventure, but learns wisdom and sacrifice, dies and resurrects. He's Dionysus, he's Jesus, he's Rama. The villain of the story is the beast. She's a raw element, raising villages and befouling crops with no inner life beyond sin. An obstacle for the hero to overcome. That's all she meant for in this model. Though perhaps she can rise up to lofty heights of moral of the story. Don't become a monster, children. But that's the best she got.
Mind if you step your voice back a little bit, Techpriest? I can hear you breathing.
God damn it! I'm just adjusting.
It's not always so literal, but the monomyth, what Joseph Campbell calls the hero's journey, is so basic that it's difficult to find stories that don't follow it.
But Matt, that's not how the fucking monomyth works.
Yeah.
The whole hero starts mundane life, wants to seek more, slowly revealed more details. Continues to learn more about world, descends into underworld, completely sacrificing what he once was, reforged in crucible of tests, becomes hero, comes back out of Underworld, solves problem.
Yeah,
What
like
the
if we're
fuck, Matt?
since he fucking accuses that of religion, I'm pretty sure that's not how Jesus goes. That's not the story of Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, what the
That's-
fuck, Matt? All you had to do is look at like a
That's-
basic Star Wars documentary to fucking know how the monomyth
It's
works.
all about Star Wars, guys.
No, seriously,
Wars.
Star Wars is
you
literally
see,
a
Matt
monomyth.
was subverting.
Yeah,
Matt
it
was
is.
subverting our expectations.
Literally, there's a section just beyond that called subversion.
Oh.
So
Page
my question
72.
is-
I'm not
No,
lying.
no. Ryan Johnson is an asshole, but he's not an abuser as far as we
He's
know.
not a
so I
beast.
can't-
Ryan Johnson, just he's awful, but he's not like he's just the kind of guy that personality.
He
his
also
personality's
apparently
awful.
wrote like 2 competent movies. I just will never
Like,
look
he's
at
written
him.
good things.
Also, he's apparently a pretty nice dude.
Yeah, like personally, like there's nothing. He just wrote a really shitty Star Wars movie. That's it. That's
How he handles his actors and basically directs them, though, is disgusting.
yeah. He's not a very good director. He's an okay writer, but he was not meant for Star Wars.
Well,
Like,
not
that's
only
about it.
that, but he handled his acting staff horrible, given that he reduced several of them to fucking tears.
No, like there are plenty of directors that do that.
We give them praise. Remember, Mister, I'm gonna make The Shining. The red room.
Oh no!
has 64
I
takes.
consider Stanley Kubrick an asshole.
Oh yeah, he's an
Yeah.
asshole, but he's really
Oh,
good at what
you
he
think he's
does.
an asshole? Who's the cunt that directed Singing in the Rain? You know, the
Dancing-
asshole Dancing in the Rain. That asshole. He fucking forced his co-star to dance so hard her goddamn feet bled because he was a perfectionist asshole dancer.
Yeah, but basically, like the whole thing about this is that they have a thing about the 3 things that can happen to beasts. Like these are the end games for beasts. The rampant beast, where basically the horror gets unleashed and comes out and now is in reality. Because fuck you. Unfettered, where the horror is now in the primordial dream and only in the primordial dream. And then incarnate, where it's like some weird merger, but it's not permanent. This beast incarnate is one who opts out of destiny. It is a beast so steeped in the narrative of his legend that he knows all the twists before they come up. So here's what I mean by this. Like, they don't really talk much about that shit. Like the legend idea. Like, this only comes up in regards to heroes and in like these certain sections. But like that seemed to be like the base for this game first, and then this happened.
And yeah. It's
It's like there was something really cool here, and then they murdered it.
gotta just chop
He
it over
devours. He
piss
betrays
all
Gilgamesh.
over it.
Listen, he even does the reference. He betrays Gilgamesh. He devours Saint George. He burns every piece of Orpheus until its ash and ice's tears remains.
Of Osiris, yeah. Like the idea, beasts who kill heroes at the time gain a little bit wormfold, but like this is the idea that the beast win, essentially. Like this is your win.
You just murder enough heroes, and
I mean, are they saying
Kinda, yeah.
Are they saying that Set's a god?
I don't know, or a beast or whatever. Like it's dumb. It's the idea is it's supposed to be mythological, where you break the mold of the story, but it's dumb. So, because then they later imply in like another book that you can lose that incarnate status.
this is dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Let's jump to the view from without.
The view from without here is just it's Geist, so it's a little weird, and it's honestly not really fully fitting in with it. It's a lot of introspection that doesn't make any sense.
Also,
then
why is
what-
there no second voice? It's not just the Geist, but it's also,
Because remember, this guy thinks that the ghost doesn't talk to you.
He doesn't realize that the Geist is in communication with the Sin Eater. That's kind of half the point of it. Like, the Sin Eater has a lot of basically the Sin Eater's the driver, but the Geist does communicate with. Remember that it's a bargain for a reason. The Geist also wants to experience all that other shit.
Oh God! I just looked at deconstruction, and you can just smell the personal vendetta here in the first paragraph. In the first
Oh,
sentence.
yeah.
I've seen them at my shows a few times, watching me with the same foregone conclusion they've
No,
always
no,
come.
not the shitty story. The actual explanation.
Oh, heroes are more than the instruments
The
of death.
hero's best weapon. The hero's best weapon is alienation. If he can learn how to wield it, he's already won. It's like, the bullies, they didn't let me have lunch with them. So that's what made me like this. That's literally what it makes me feel like.
No.
Garb.
Oh, I like that heroes effectively infect people's dreams and turn them into mindless servants.
Like, that's never referenced again.
That's literally like most of this bullshit was literally written because Matt watched the remake of Beauty and the Beast.
But yeah, here's character creation. Skip that basic bullshit. The one thing that I'm going to mention here is we're going to want to cover satiety and
Things are getting kind of long. Want to call
It has been a while, and we can always do
we'll
a
stop
part
here.
2.
We'll stop here because there's kinship. It's page 87. This is about the last thing that we need to talk about tonight because for some reason they mention that like this is the whole reason why they have like all of the stuff about like here's why everybody likes beasts. Like why don't vampires just like fucking murder beasts because they're potential threats, right? Why don't werewolves just murder them? Why don't changelings literally just kill them the second they figure out what they are? And this is the only real reason why.
Because they're siblings.
Because they've got Mary Sue plot powers. Oh, fuck Christ. Let's start with this. All right. So kinship is basically, apart from the bonds of family, the advantages of avatisms, blah, 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 beasts also possess a number of innate traits as a result of their connection to the primordial dream and through it to the dark mother, blah, blah, blah.
By the way, nightmares, what's that bullshit? Is it literally just going out to fucking traumatize people in their sleep?
Nightmares and avatisms are the beast powers. Nightmares are like the mental stuff, and then avatism is like, I use an aspect of my monster part.
Why the fuck are they split apart like that?
Because this game is dumb.
It's the only book that I remember having this weird distinction.
Well, there are other books with that distinction, but this is like very dumb.
I just say we should discard this and just basically play beasts like little monsters because I want to play Howie Man. I want to play Howie Mandel Monster Man. He doesn't want to necessarily scare people. He just wants to be a trickster asshole, and he has to keep the more terrifying monsters at bay to keep the children
I'm just now
safe.
envisioning, like, you play Howie Mandel, I play Mike Wazowski.
We're monsters. It's kind of like we're the inverse of monsters. It's like we're playing. Now I just want to play monsters.
Like I'm this little doofy asshole that like I'm this little doofy wise guy that wants to be scary, but I just isn't. So instead he fucking relies on comedy.
I'm a trickster. How do you like this, Techpriest?
Can we just finish off the Family Ties? Because I want to be done with this book for tonight. Because fuck this book. Fuck this book so hard. All right. So kinship, right? Question of lineage. So here's where it gets dumb.
You mean it wasn't?
The fact that
this is like that was all
descended from the Dark Mother is one of the dumbest moments.
Vampires, werewolves, and changelings, Prometheans, sea eaters, mummies, fetches, and human spirits. Generally, any kind of being that was never human, and if falls in, you are literally they're like you're like their sibling.
See, the only one that kind of makes sense to me are vampires to a very limited degree.
Vampires and werewolves, I can see.
Very limited degree, yeah.
Mages, obviously not. Sin Eaters, I'm kind of on the fence on because I can see one way or the other, but Sin Eaters are still, for the most part, human.
Sin Eaters, you could argue, like, they're more spiritually than blood.
Because if ghosts are under fundamentally human, then...
Here's how you do it. Like, vampires and werewolves, they, like, way back during the long dead age of the Hyperborean age, they were once beasts in their own right. They split apart because, well, they weren't quite exactly the same.
It was during
Yeah.
the age of apostasy when Goat Vampire made them split.
So I would argue, weren't Sin Eaters being the most fundamentally human category?
They are
Because
fundamentally human. They just have,
They
have
should
a
be.
timeshare on their soul.
And
They
why the
should
heck
be.
are Prometheans descended from the Dark Mother?
They
Shouldn't
should
that
have
be
nothing.
over
There
in-
shouldn't
This is
be
why
at
this
all.
is dumb. They shouldn't be. The whole idea of fetches and inhuman creatures being descended from the Dark Mother, still, that shouldn't work because that doesn't. They're not
Spirits in
part of the
general,
primordial
no.
dream. Yeah, like spirits don't work there. Like
Like vampires could work as like
Ugh.
like blood brothers because like let's say back in the long day, like the Dark Mother Lilith. You know, you have Lilith be the Dark Mother for them, and they just split
Like-
off in their own way.
also
Same with werewolves.
slashers. Slashers are less. Slashers should be much closer to them. But they're
Actually,
not.
yeah, have slashers
Yeah.
be other blood brothers where they're born with
Any-
malformed souls.
Any character who can be described as mostly human, but falls into this category of fundamentally human. So Sin Eaters and
so they're
Mages, psychics,
humans, but
mediums, slashers,
they've got a
and
ghost,
stuff.
but they've got a ghost.
Slashers
trauma.
are not fucking fundamentally human given the amount of supernatural shit that goes around them.
One thing that I would say is that what if you could do it, if you want to tie this into products, like what if you go too crazy that a slasher can be one of the fates of, if you want to go down a darker path, like if you don't watch out, you become a completely murderous sociopath with all the pretense. It's gone.
well,
I
that's
mean-
what a slasher is. So
But wait. I'd actually say that slashers can be divvied up, right, into rippers and scourges.
There's
So
a
I-
bunch. They're basically split based on like what you got your teleporting Michael Myers, you got your undead
Yeah.
Jasons, you got your pumpkin
Yeah.
heads, you
And
got
then you
your
got-
Hills
yeah,
of
I've
then you
Ivy
got like your
slashers.
Hannibal Lecter, who's just like he's just really
Hannibal Lecter. You got-
charismatic.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
you
would
got
be-
Dexter.
Yeah, so those would be fundamentally human, and like the more superpowered shit would be the descended from the Dark Mother. Like they're
Yeah.
ascended.
But they don't. They don't. And then okay,
Like I said, vampires and werewolf make sense. Have them split like long time ago, or the Dark Mother created them in a different way. They're
Okay, and
blood
then-
brothers in that
But
respect.
let's get into the actual family ties. Beasts are capable of forming close metaphysical connections with other spiritual beings.
Fuck no.
this is where family
This
dinner.
grants them a number of benefits to various kinship mechanics. They can place this on other characters. Note that it says they do not gain this; they place it.
They forced it on you. Just like
Yeah.
just like
Be
how
my
Matt
friend.
forced himself on those girls.
So you're gonna be my friend, and you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
I like how
Allegedly.
demons just shrug that shit off like nah.
No, he like admitted that he might have abused a chick. So I'm not going to even say that it's alleged.
I was just saying.
If he wants to sue me for that, fucking prove it, bitch. Like no.
Even if the target is willing, the team must still spend considerable time each other, endure common hardship, hunt together, or otherwise become close before this condition can be applied.
They need a montage of them going to the
They need a
fair together.
montage, making everything go fast, and then
But remember, beasts are the people who will literally shrug off their own family dying. So what's to say if when you die they're gonna care?
Montage. Throwing spiders at children and watching vampires drink from their throats. Montage.
Montage, being in the Ferris wheel together and like dangling somebody outside of it.
Oh yeah, they can also instinctively recognize other supernaturals.
That's not too stupid, but the whole family thing is stupid as fuck.
Oh, it gets worse. So you know that whole section of the book that was about like how their satiety works and how to feed and all that? Well, you could ignore all that because you could just do family dinner.
Yep. Family dinner is
literally-
the stupidest thing that was ever
Or
written.
literally okay, so they have that whole section about feeding. Well, you can just say, nah, you don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is watch another supernatural gain their stuff, like feeding or watching a hunt.
Oh,
Basically, they're the guy at-
You weren't joking about how watching a vampire kill someone and then getting a stiffy.
Yes, these guys are like the guy at an orgy and they're jacking off. Like, it's the really creepy guy that's like looking through the window, Like, sure, everybody else is in the orgy and having fun, and it's kind of weird and kinky, but like they at least are all consenting to it, right? They're all in on it, and then there's this weird dude watching them through the window and jerking off. Like, I'm pretty sure 90% of the people at the orgy would be like, no, yeah, fuck that guy looking through the window.
Close the blinds.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like that's what a beast is. He's the guy jerking off. Like he's the peeping tom jerking off. Like,
But no, like if
Is
they
that
wanted to,
poetic? I feel like that's poetic. This applies to Matt.
Oh God! Listen, it is worth noting that relationships don't have to be affection or even friendly for this to apply. All
Yeah.
it requires is that the beasted target be close. Associates, rivals, even enemies may apply for this
so
condition.
stupid.
yep.
Okay. Yeah. So this is literally thing. Oh, hey! I murdered your family. Threw you off a bridge and turned you into a sin eater. I'm your family connection now.
Like,
Yeah.
to give you an idea, I'm just looking through the ones that they're forcing kinship with. Vampires, again, agree with. Werewolves, sure. No to changelings, they should be completely alien. Prometheans are like demons, not at all. Fuck no. Sin eaters, I would accept because of the whole ghost thing. Like, you could have them be spiritually rather than blood brothers. Mummies, no. Fetches, no. Spirits, no.
Personally, the way I see it, it's like
Oh, and mages, no. Psychics, no. Mediums, no. Slashers, no. Well, actually, slashers, yes.
Well, slashers,
Seeking
yes.
seeking
The
a
real-
parasitic connection. All I can think of is now is like Resident Evil 7. It's like where Jack is like, "Welcome to the family, son." Basically, your attachment to the family is some big motherfucker going to deck you in the face while you go to attend cannibal. You become a bunch of cannibal mutant fungus things.
I'm just like, the whole family connection thing might make sense if like you spend enough time with them and you have to join in their feeding method for it to work.
Yeah, but just hanging around, creepily watching.
Watching as a vampire slowly sucks out the blood from a stripper.
Yeah. Like that's pretty
Like
much
you got this whole 7 foot tall Anakin just like looking at them with a fucking obvious erection.
No, worse. It's the female one and her nipples are so hard.
Actually, that's even better.
Oh.
It's that lady, and she's like, they're so stiff, and the fucking vampire is just creeped out and is like, "Stop fucking staring, god damn it!"
It's the Toreador saying it's the fucking. He's like saying, like, God, there's some limit. Even I have limits, man.
It's a gangrel going, "Stop fucking looking at me like that."
Rip your damn throat out.
But yeah, like that's
A werewolf like ripping the throat out of a deer and eating it, and they're just staring, and it just like looks at him like, "What the fuck?"
You getting all
this whole thing.
A Promethean just starts grabbing the electrical conduits from a fucking subsystem generator, getting electrocuted to regain power, just staring at them.
Yeah. That's the thing about that. I think this is probably the best place to stop for Beast for now, because I am
Just
honestly
highlighting how stupid this is.
Yeah, this is just
At
it's
this
taking
point,
everything that's been established for the last
I
decade.
just realized something terrible. All we've done, all this pain we've inflicted, are we beasts? And if so, what lesson have we taught you listeners today?
Don't buy this book.
that anyone that buys this book are a bunch of jerk offs. That's all I can say.
Alright,
And
alright.
No,
Yes,
we're not
yes,
beasts. We're fucking heroes. So
No, we're not.
fucking praise us, motherfuckers. Because
us here
we're
at Scum
assholes.
do fully recommend pirating this book. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
Don't even pirate it.
It doesn't
don't even
deserve
bother.
being pirated.
Like, don't even bother with this book. This book is what they dropped this whole game line like a hot potato, and they've
Nah,
had to.
like get Deviants. I don't even like how Deviants' mechanics are supposedly gonna work. But get
But
Deviants.
it's got a better concept behind it. It's got a better sort
Yeah.
of system.
It's not written by a rapist.
Plus, you can play Jimmy Neutron and team up with like the fucking Captain Caveman and a dinosaur.
You can team up with a dinosaur man from like you can play the fucking what was it, the cop from Kung Fury.
You can literally do Axe Cop, where you get like a hunter, the dinosaur soldier.
Yeah,
The
like
Unfrozen
for it.
caveman. Who's a
No,
lawyer?
a yogi, an Indian yogi who can really stretch his limbs out.
You could
Yeah.
totally do Dulcim.
You can do like
You could
about
fucking
anything.
like you get Dulcim, you get like Mega Mind,
Psycho Mantis. You could have Psycho Mantis in there. That
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
Psycho Mantis, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Like
Albert Wesker. Let's throw Albert Wesker in there because yes.
A talking bison with a cape and cool hat.
like
M.
yeah.
Bison. His name is
sure.
M. Bison.
Sure, who the fuck cares? Like just play Deviant. Don't
Wait
play
a minute.
Beast.
Wait a minute. Can we play Deviant? Can we all play it like the Street Fighter? We could play it like we could play a Street
You could
Fighter
totally
game.
do
Holy
Street
shit.
Fighter with Deviant.
No, actually,
Yeah.
that's I think our recommendation. Don't buy this book. Buy Street Fighter by White
Yeah,
Wolf.
buy White
Buy the
Wolf
fucking
Fighter
Street
game.
Fighter game.
Yeah, get that.
Shit,
it's on
at this
Crypto
point,
Open.
I advocate pirating the shitty Darkstalkers cartoon.
Hell, what you should do is you should put a link to the Street Fighters book in the just say in the thing and say, "Yep, there
This
you go.
is better.
This exists.
This is better. This was written by White Wolf. This is better."
Yeah,
You should
yeah.
spend
You
money
know how I
on this.
usually provide a link to at least an Amazon site where you can get this book? Nope. You're
We're
getting
not gonna
Street
put
Fighter
that in
instead, kids.
You're getting Street Fighter instead because this book doesn't deserve to be linked. This book
Street
deserves
Fighter
to
and
be
Deviant.
forgotten.
That's what you're getting, kids.
This book deserves to be forgotten and expunged from the records of everybody who's written. And they had to shoehorn it into the Chronicles of the whole Dark Eras, and it makes the Dark Eras book worse for it. It really does. What were they even in? I'm trying to remember.
We'll leave
It
it for
doesn't-
another time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Good night, everyone. Happy
Good night.
Halloween.
Night,
Happy Halloween.
and
Get the
eventually
Street
I
Fighter
will
game.
be less sick. But until then, night, y'all.
I'm gonna go jerk off to porn now. Nice.
Fuck's sake.